Turn the camera off. Watch out for the miasmas. They could be pretty clutch against quite a lot of high mobility. We'll let the gyros speak for themselves. Level 1 trading here. Barriers and heals going down on both sides. Guwon, as expected, goes for the level 1 Raptor invade. Does Tien want to fight this? He does. Okay. Dodges the Q. The emotes are there. I think you're being baited, Pert God. Don't give in to this. Though level 1, Conqueror stacked on both sides. I'm not sure you win this, Tien. Here we go. Is he giving up? He is. Vaguely. Level 2 fight's going to be important. Bot lane as well. Feng Yue and Jackie just about get there. There gets to be the Relentless Pursuit. Jaws now in a lot of danger. Has to flash. Last auto won't kill. Guwon and Tien still fighting over the Raptor camp. They've got no minions and it's 2 minutes into the game. Thanks for the resub, Pin. This is wild, by the way. We finally got some minions dead. Okay, now we get some spice. Tien took a lot of damage from the Raptor camp, though, so probably can't fight this. Cream's coming, but to what end? No, Jaw's now back bot lane. They've gone beyond the turret. This is pretty spicy. Assumes got, like, no items. Has to flash. Last auto from the Milio gets it. I suspect Jaw, though, trades back. I might be able to get 2 here. Does Jackie need to flash? Ward put down. Gets the Relentless Pursuit away. Nope, they're out. Both supports get the kill. Didn't know the Jinxie tourney was still going on? Surely not. Is it not finished by now? Up the volume a little bit on this as well. Yeah. There you go. They were inferring that this gameplay is the same. Hey. Oh. Yeah, that would make sense. Oops. Guwon should just pick up that Scuttle Crab. And basically, both of our jugglers at 3 minutes and 11 seconds have managed to claim a grand total of 2 to 3 caps each. Ray won. Ray's team won. XQC had some crazy performances. Ray also got a Flash Malzahara, which was quite fun. Tien's going to try and invade here. Might look at Kier instead. Flash for the stun. Kier flashes in turn. I think going any further under the turret there is a mistake because the miasma will ruin your day, Tien. We're going to see invade on both sides. I suspect this Nocturne is going to go and think, I'm going to double scuttle into red buff invade. Assume we'll likely put down a ward. Spot Tien, who might not even get this red buff anymore. Oh, no. Aggro resets. Bubble. Lots of damage. Tien does have smite, but it's still not in smite range. If he goes back in here, he gets red, then has to safeguard out. Okay. I'm pretty sure Ray's team won today, but I'm not actually sure. My understanding was it was there at the grand finals. But it was on until like 4 in the morning. A little bit of an invade happening. Guwon gets that red buff. And now beginning to fight with Tien, who is not having the most fun, but does have his team coming a little earlier. Sonic Wave, as Guwon inted this, he's inted this. There's the flash. Tien can follow and likely just get it with the... There's the Fear Tether broken. We've got a spell shield. Spell shield, attack speed, Fear Tether. Doesn't matter. Nicely done. Good support on the invade there from the solo lanes, despite a fair amount of shove to work with. And Tien has managed to recover from a really tricky early game state, because that could have just been his whole jungle gone there. Care now at 400 games. Congratulations to him. 2022, eh? Care's gonna keep taking down his way, but Tien is now here. He's got a second red buff to his name, having picked that up from the death of Guwon. Both junglers are quite low farm for this point in the game, but that's basically because, as we saw, they were fighting over camps from the very early stages. It means it'll be a later level 6 than you might like, which honestly is better for top esports, because they want to kind of delay this Nocturne's power spike as long as possible. There's the hop in. Good hop away before the miasma. Petrifying Gaze does land, though, and that's Tien taking a lot of damage. Twin Fangs. Oh, he's safeguarded out and thought he was safe. No, you're not. Petrifying Gaze, miasma meant there was nothing to be done there. Very nice turnaround from Care, who I think they thought they had him there. They did not. And that's an unfortunate kill to give over. Because you know what? The Cassiopeia needs more burn. Guwon, I think, just stole the respawn of Raptors as well. Culling comes on down. I don't think I'd heard Lucian's laugh in Chinese before. He sounds bizarrely like Santa Claus, but with more illicit substances in his veins. By which I mean too much caffeine, guys, obviously. Public execution top side. Hoya's got his own ult in 2 seconds. And it is the electrocute Ambessa, as expected into that. Fongyue's actually found a good little bush gank angle. This can make things a bit spicy, but a Valkyrie away will deny any Super Mega Blaze kick. And there's the paranoia. They went diving on forwards. Jackie has to flash, kick away onto the Nocturne. I think they're happy enough. But wait, the Aqua Prison landing makes this a lot spicier. Can they jump further forwards? No, they can't. They heal. Now actually Tien is here. Guwon's going to body block best he can. Misses the Sonic Wave. Unfortunate. Duskbringer. Actually, can Hoya just keep running at this? Kind of. What's the flash? Up towards the grubs we look. Is Hoya going to be all right here? Yeah, Tien has to hop out the back of the pit. Can maybe steal this last one, though. We going in? The mind's telling him no, and the body goes fine. Okay. That's a bit of damage between AD carries. Weird old game state. Jackie's gotten an early lead here, which is not great news for Azuma Jua, who, you know, kind of been put under the cosh a little bit from those early levels. Had to drop a wave or two after a very good level 2 fight that successfully went the way of Jackie and Fongyue. Tien slightly ahead of Guwon in terms of gold, but again, the other side of this is Guwon's just farmed a Storm, so he's up that level. That's often the discrepancy we see. Early ganks versus early farm. Tends to be that the early farm comes out on top, honestly. The scary thing for top esports is this Cassiopeia is ain't exactly slowing down anytime soon. She is scary. She is scary. And a lot of these champions are not going to enjoy diving the Cassiopeia. Like, I think the Lee Sin, the Ambessa, the Lucian, all of them potentially at risk of miasma. Right? You can't cleanse the grounded. You can cleanse the petrified, and that's all well and good. Dragons up. Are we fighting that? Possibly, actually. Decent damage. Hoya's going to be all right. Takes a bit of damage, but that'll be the end of that. We've got public execution. We do. A bit dicey, but NIP head over towards the dragon. Quite enough early game. Basically, every ult's up and available here, which makes things a bit spicy. I think the Gnar should be able to reset just fine. Does have the teleport. What's he got on this back? Phage? Phage. Yeah, there we go. How do you see the scaling difference of these two comps? So that's from Happy Ennis in chat. Might just hold for a second because we've got blue buff invade happening, so I'm not sure I'm going to actually have that much time to delve into this. I think Tien just gets this. Okay. You're going to stick around and try and fight for the Gromp as well? I think probably not. Okay, they now know that the Lee Sin is there. Interesting. Okay. Bot lane dive as well. I promise I'm going to try and talk about this. That's a good chunk, actually. Culling traded with Valkyrie and Tidal Wave. Lee Sin's also coming bot. I think we are probably going to see a bit of a gank here again. I don't know whether we'll see too much from this, though. We're all on wards right now, and Guwon did have the paranoia, so it could have been a bit of a turnaround. But yeah, basically, I think top esports, to finally get to a point where I think we're not going to have too much happening. Theoretically, spike earlier. Lee Sin, Annie, Lucian. One item, pop people. That's the plan. And you've got the ability even later on to theoretically pick off key members like the Corki, like the Gnar in a side lane, with a lot of your dive and upfront burst. I think if it comes down to a consistent DPS check around objectives, though, you have got Corki, Nami, Cassiopeia, which is pretty damn scary. So I think mid-game's contested, Nocturne, Corki will do that for you. But I think it comes straight down to objective 5s later on. I think NIP are slightly favored. They've got the better scaling. I think they've got the better front to back. The Tidal Wave and Petrifying Gaze combo, quite annoying to try and make your way through as a relatively short-range burst comp with quite a lot of players who need to be mobile. Good hop away from Hoya. Have flexed a lot of their members top. When's Herald? 140. Potential jump top sides. Everyone's just gone for Australia lanes for now. Lee Sin and Nocturne around. No one's pulled the trigger in a while, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's quiet. Too quiet. There's the Lee Sin just down the lane. There's the flash away from Hoya. Does just about get away with it, but Tien's around. Are we playing this? We're thinking about it. Okay, well, nearly towards the Mega Gnar, and now the teleport's flying and the paranoia. Second TP. Oh boy, Tien is just about alive. Flash away from Guwon, but now Hoya's very deep. Zuyan flashes over, and Drakehound steps with some lacerates to do a fair amount of damage, but there's the miasma. Over goes Tien, but he's back onto the miasma. He dies now. It's gotten real messy. Cream's going to have to flash up, but Azum's going to jump over. We are going to get a stun. Cream's going to try and sprint his way away. Is Joel flashing? Yes, he is, for the Aqua Prison. Very nicely done. Care gets another, and the Cassiopeia is 3-0-1. So Zuyan will make his way out. Good for him. And all the while, the Lucian wasn't there. So that was that, a 5v4 in the end? Because Jackie didn't really turn up in some extended play. messy, but NIP come out happily on top. So basically, Tien misses initial Sonic Wave, but still says, yeah, I can play this with Hoya. Paranoia comes in, but the teleport's already channeled. Flash away to break the fear tether. The problem is there's now a TP behind, so they go, right, well, we have to fight this. As Fungwave flashes to get in range for the cozy campfire, for the warm hugs to keep people alive. So we have full send to kill off Guwon, and that's great. The problem is, you are then trapped on top of this miasma. Funguave's burned his own flash, and Tien goes back in, thinking he wouldn't be able to escape with Assume having come down the river. Jackie isn't turning up, so it's always going to be an over-numbered fight for NIP. Great flash from Jaw to get the Aqua Prison. And then Care thought he picks it up. So now Care is 3-0-1 on this Cassiopeia, which is really scary. The Nars ahead as well, which means they're going to have a much more fun time in the side lanes. Guwon can pick up this dragon, and NIP are at 2 dragons against a comp that really wanted to snowball early. That's tough. That's really tough. Jackie's going to step forwards. Zoom still holding on to his Valkyrie. Should be okay-ish here. Going to be a bit aware of Cream potentially threatening with the Molten Shield speed up for the stun. Won't lead to anything though, so it's kind of fine. Cassiopeia gets that bot side turret. Herald goes mid. Can they actually claim that? I don't think they can. They're going to try and hold around. But with Guwon coming up, this gets a bit messier. They know Tien's around because they just saw that wall go down. But Guwon being there kind of turns that around. Hey, Duo, good to see you. I mean, Care just got to shove all the way up and get all that. They've got 2 grubs as well. So Cassiopeia is not normally a turret shover, but that's pretty good going. Jackie's got a second item. And look, TES... They went for the Lee Sin Annie, right? They went for the early snowball, the early burst, and they've not really done that. They're behind 2,500 gold. They're behind, what, 3 objectives to 1? That's not what I'd call a great game state, guys. Jackie's going to have to do a lot of work here. But Tien's kind of not been it on the Lee Sin so far. Part of that has been very weird early jungle clears, don't get me wrong, but still. Bit of a paranoia top side. Guwon should slide away. Sonic Wave just wide. Hoya's killed off the top laner. Guwon speeds his way away. Does he have a spell shield up? No, he doesn't. There's the kick. Sonic Wave under the turret. Tien likely dies here nonetheless, though. So still a 2-for-1. Oh, dear. Well, okay. Look, Guwon's died. He is 3/4 of the team's death. But not to put too fine a point on it, the trade-up has been 3-0-1 for both your solo lanes. You're kind of okay with that. I missed what caused the 6-7, Clarence, but I have no doubt the meme was said. Bit of a play in mid lane. Barrier for barrier. Jackie slides away. True shot, not true shot. Tidal wave just doesn't stop Jackie Love, so he gets the full channel off, but can't necessarily have all the bullets on target, and that'll be enough, I think, to disengage. Fongui left low. We'll have a look at this topside play again, because basically Tien, I guess he just ends up face checking the Nocturne. He's managed to get a level up on, so the extra level of the ult could have been scary. The spell shield blocked the public execution, which was fairly significant. But then Hoya just gets to be untouched the entire time. Hyper's down 1, and Tien realizes he's not getting out here. So he goes, right, well, I might as well take someone with me. Does, but then has no real way out, so Hoya just gets to keep autoing. Care walked up and doesn't get involved, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah. So the Cassiopeia doesn't get an assist, which I think she would have liked, but hey, so be it. Jackie eats a lot of damage. We've got a minute and a half until Soul Point. Realistically, NIP are playing for that. Hey, Asimi, good to see you. Well, that's a fair amount of damage. Tien is having a horror game. Can't hit land a Q. Yeah, not been having a great one. Very like him as well. We come to expect great things of him this split. Having a very good showing. This has kind of been bit off today. Cat should just drop that turret. Nice. Went to 6-1 at one point. They were doing very well. They've slipped up a lot since then. Been a bit more dubious of late. Partly, honestly, because I think Tien's been... I don't want to say he's been bad, but he's not been, like, absolutely dominating. Also, they just had some tough matchups, right? They had to go up against BLG and the like, which is just never easy. And they had some good showings in those games. Just wasn't consistent enough. Has sometimes felt a little bit like Jackie and, to an extent, Fongyue against the Worlds. Towards the Dragon fight we go. Decent stun. This, I think, is the last gasp. Saloon. Cream gets over the wall, but likely just about dies to the tidal wave. Guwon goes in with the paranoia. Flash from Hoya for the Mega Knight to the wall. Public execution gets at least one in, but the Petrifying Gaze follows. And goodbye the rest of top esports. Jackie will try and slide away, but got hit by the boulder toss. So he's going to get slowed down. Another miasma. Top esports are aced in the river. Really nice flank from Hoya by the by there. But honestly, tidal wave paranoia combo meant they couldn't disengage, and they can't stand in range of this Cassiopeia. She just melts them. They beat BLG the first time though. Yeah, true enough. Hey, Parky, good to see you. NIP against the best teams in the league, guys. Really good from Hoya. And then Guwon plus the tidal wave gets everyone else pretty scared. Jackie gets stunned into the wall. Look, at this point, finally Zuyan gets an ult in. It doesn't really change anything, does it? Tien over this wall, could think about coming across. Doesn't. A little bit of a split push angle from Zuyan. Again, the Q lands on the minion. Could maybe look to taxi over to someone, but you can see Assume and Care are miles away. Hoya gets that turret. Baron's theirs, right? So at this point, it's just so hard. They did land that Q. But it's going to be slightly out of range for reactivation on the resonating strike. Care's now body blocking off the Lee Sin, who does not want to tango with a level 16 Cassiopeia. That way lies death. It's a 3-level advantage in mid, by the way. Ooh. Why is NIP so good when they play the top teams? Actually wild. So, part of it is schedule. Part of it is traveling. Again, they've got their own arena, so if they have to travel to other people's arenas, it gets a bit weird. But part of it, because they have their own arena, they run into the JDG scenario of having a lot of games back-to-back without necessarily all that much time between them. It means that they often prep really, really hard against the best teams in the league. And aren't as prepped against those more towards the middle and lower end of the pack. Just off time constraints, in part. And also because actually as a team, they are still not the best team, but they have got very defined strengths which they can leverage to win against the best in the league, which is very good. And those strengths basically revolve around Very aggressive early jungle play. And very potent bot lane. That, ironically, hasn't been the case today. It's been good counter ganks from Guwon, and then Care and Hoya actually just having a really good showing with that. The counter ganks have been very effective, and honestly, I also just think their draft scaled better. This is a little bit of a draft diff in the sense that Top Esports needed to snowball early and then didn't. Because for all of the early jungle play didn't get Guwon ahead, it delayed TM for forever. That Lee Sin had gotten 2 camps by 4 minutes. Because they just spent like 2 minutes dancing around a raptor camp. And, you know, actually we come to these objective fights and you go, okay, do you really want to dive through Petrifying Gaze, Miasma Tidal Wave as a very mobile diving comp? Doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. And the consistent DPS of Gnar, of Assumes Corki, of a very fed Cassiopeia, that's tough. So Top Esports also, let's turn the lens around, failed to snowball early very aggressively. And NIP were kind of just ready for it. Like, they got a lead bot lane, but it wasn't that meaningful. And the solo lanes just mashed him. Care in particular has had a really good showing. Hoya had that gank top where TN tried to jump in. They didn't make it happen. Basically, the counter ganks this game, interestingly, were very good from NIP. Who were very willing to come and pull the trigger. I'm thinking over by the Krugs. I'm thinking over by the top lane. I'm thinking in the river. That was more of a straight-up team fight. But still, the damage was largely done. I will say Top Esports did get that last dragon. So there's no soul point for NIP. So it'll only be soul point this time around. No, I don't know who what is. Cream has been known to choke sometimes. Yeah. He's actually been very good this split on the whole. Though I will say again, the last few weeks, it's been a little bit more like business as usual from Cream, which has been a bit disappointing. Care's very similar, right? In the sense that actually he has very poor games. But when he's on it, he's very, very good. And I think, you know, he had that interview, said, look, I get it. People yell at me when I don't play well. But, you know, where is the praise when I do play well? When I do have good games? You know, shouldn't it come in equal measure? And actually, in fairness to Kay, he's had an exceptional Cassiopeia game. He's effectively 3 levels up on his opposing number. 2.5, something like that. Once he gets to level 17 here as well, he's going to be a menace. He's got Bloodletter's Curse at this point. Didn't bother with the Actualizer. Just said, yep, no, I want more masks. More ability to shred down this front line. But isn't that existent anyway? More burn. Sounds good to me. NIP's biggest weakness is their draft. To an extent, yes, I think they are a little more limited in terms of their champion pool. I don't think helps. But part... Oh, there comes that little play towards mid lane. Assume needs to flash out. I say that with someone like Assume. Not Assume. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to want to talk about. Having notoriously some wildo counter picks. He's a top lane Varus enjoyer, right? Guwon needs to back away. Just about survives. NIP made that quite close for a second or two. The problem is Care's just running as we are now. Flash on forwards for the Noxious Blast. Gets another kill. Assume gets to keep hunting for more. Cream gets a stun. That means nothing. And NIP win the extended DPS check. We said that was going to be the case. It came down to mid-game extended DPS checks. And what do you know? Top Esports do not, in fact, have that capacity to them. Don't think they have the capacity, big man. And instead, they'll walk through mid lane, pick down that inhibitor, and pick down the game as well. Nice work from NIP to hold against potentially dangerous early playmaking from Top Esports. Counter punch super well, scale well through the game, have some funny level 1 plans, and real credit to the solo lanes there for delivering on that. So if we go, Joe, your compliments incoming. You need to think about it. Okay, so it's going to be Conqueror for Guwon. I'm not seeing any crazy runes here. Airy for Ori. Yeah, she's not going to want to Storm Raiders. DFT's fine on her, but the Airy's always been a good rune. And a bit more viable defensively as well. Comet for Nico. Airy for Lulu. Yeah, all these things make sense. Shyvana tends to clear real quick. She's not as reliant on dragon stacking as she once was, because basically takedowns on large monsters, minions, champions, jungle, they all give you that, and you get stacking resists basically. Though it's not actually that potent. I think the W is the bit that people don't necessarily get, because obviously your ability to just speed your way up and then it hits, blow up, kind of Scion Shield style is pretty good fun. Kind of gives you a heal as well, so you've got quite a lot of sustain. Your key with Shyvana is getting into combat and staying there. Tien's tried to go in for the invade. I'm not sure he's going to find exactly what he's looking for. Worth noting, we've had some weirdness with the early pathing. Oh, we are going to see a counter invade here. Okay. I will say Shyvana loves a Lulu, because Shyvana's weakness as ever is getting kited out. That will not happen necessarily versus a Lulu edition. Potential gank onto Care, though he's dead. Has to flash. We're going to dive this anyway. Red buff probably gets him killed here. Okay, there's enough healing in the level 4s through. Guwon probably tries to clear up wolves. Then reset for topside Scuttle Crab. And realize his blue buff is gone. Does he get the reset off in time? Oh, it's close! Okay, Ember Strike can keep fighting. Good damage. Conqueror's in. This gets a bit spicy. Decent healing from the passive. Ori's coming. Guwon's dead. Oh, he's just lost his red buff as well. It's not bad. But there's a blast cone over and Care's not joining. Dad is recall cancelled. You just needed to go around the corner and recall in the bush. To go around the corner and recall in the bush. Greeted. TM probably gets at least one Scuttle Crab here. Possibly both. You could have reset there as long as you pulled around the corner, I think. I don't know where the wave was in mid lane there. Maybe you would have been spotted. Yeah, you just pull around that corner a little bit. You don't get interrupted and you're fine. Bit of a shame. Doran's both for Nymaera, who loves the attack speed. But basically, between the Renekton, the Shyvana, and the Lulu, your ability to get in and brawl is pretty good. So, the early lead here in the game is not great news for NIP, who are not having the most fun in these laning phases. Jackie, again, has kind of had the edge over Asun fairly heavily here. About 20 CS, which is pretty significant. The Vayne's had a free lane. He's got the Ghost. Is just, again, up 10 odd CS. Jungle, we've already seen the kill go over, which is a bit problematic. Double Scuttle for Tien as well, has evened up what could have been a farm advantage. Rough. Rough. The Guwon special. Yeah, he does like to take liberties in the first clears, doesn't he? Still, farming away. Shyvana wants to get to level 6 ASAP. It ain't Nocturne, but it'll do. Phage in early. Gluttonous Greaves for Zuyam. Theoretically allows you to play safer again in those side lanes. Bit of Omnivamp that's not always there in the Vayne builds these days. Especially with things like a Lethal Tempo, no Conqueror, anything like that. Doesn't go Blade. Which again, it's a bit low on the lifesteal front anyway, but still. Okay, Care slid forwards, didn't immediately shuffle. Want to see whether we could get Cream's flash there. Oh, Shockwave lands onto Care. Ow. Ow. Doesn't have TP either. Actually, needs to be a bit afraid. Guwon's just going to be around just to say, no, you don't. TM might look for the invade onto Raptors here, knowing the mid lane it can't be around, though. Raptors gone. It'll be red buff instead, sorry. That's problematic. Bot lane's got a shove as well. TM just gets to keep shoving for more. Hoya does get a decent chunk there onto Zuyan, who may need to ghost here. Doesn't so far. Guwon being fought over on these Krugs. Smites away the big one. Can Ember Strike a few more here. It gets a couple back, but it will lose the red buff as well, which is a nice invade. Denies the level 6 off the Shyvana. Tien's got that already. Oh, don't go in here. Gonna try and get the Raptors instead, I think. Fair enough. Is that gonna be 6? It's gonna be close. I think it'll need another camp after. Two-shot barrage. Ooh, goodbye, Assume. Guwon's still trading. Guwon, why are we here? What? Zuya might now get a kill top as well. Trying to get vision in that bush is going to be very tight. Oh, the tumble gets it as well. 4 kills in the blink of an eye. Top esports. Well, this game is theirs, isn't it? That's almost as exciting as seeing Duo Maiden in your chat, guys. There's the compliment. Took me a second. Every lane, baby. Well, we've now got 1,000 gold lead to Jackie, who's been mashing this. Tien messes with Guwon, who's still not level 6. Oh, boy. 3,500 gold lead. We are going to 3 here, I suspect. Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of giving the Ori up. The counter pick of the Vayne. This Shyvana needs to do a lot of work, and they didn't manage to get a shove in, like, any lane. The early invade kind of goes wrong, and things have all gone awry from there. Have finally got level 6, so maybe they can pick up some grubs and deny that from someone like the Vayne, which I think is probably a wise idea. Bit of a play bot side. The double tangle barbs. Very lovely. I thought the Nymaera Lulu would have a little bit more pressure against the Nico, but Nico's been landing some very good roots. Some very good roots. Yeah, and here's that look at the top side. Hoya went flashing in to try and get the kill on the Zuyan, but lost vision, just out of range on that Q. I think if he landed that Q, might be a bit different. Then try to play around the bush vision, and Zuyan just about gets that tumble auto off. Back to life. NIP do get the kill on Zuyan there. You know what? Not bad. No summoner, so get that punish. Guwon gets the kill. That's important. Actually, no, sorry, it was Assume who got the kill. That was important. Who else died? Feng Yue has also died. Okay. Still, you take what you can get there. Takes about 400 gold off the leads. Let's look at the replay here. So Zuyan gets slowed by the Arc of Judgment. Just full send. Just full send. Fair enough. Guwon's in the river. Feng Yue's coming up, and it'll be a Dragon's Descent onto this. And definitely not Shin's out. Yeah, gets feared. And immediately just gets run down. Yeah. Smite. Flash. Nice kills. And then Zuyan has an unfun time under the turret. Oya dives. Guwon's there. Assume is donated the kill. Very nicely done. That's what NIP wanted to be doing 5 minutes ago. They're now going to come back from a 3,000 odd gold deficit, but you take what you can get. Tien should still invade here, get away those Raptors. Hexplate for the Shyvana basically does in fact increase Fury generation, so quite important. Because it means you get more ults, and as ever, Shyvana is very gated by how many ults she gets off. Care needs to slide away rather. He is losing quite hard to the Orianna, who's been bullying really hard. Cream was looking to interrupt that back there, which is kind of crazy. But that's a big lead from mid. Care still not a first item. See whether he gets it on this reset, but I'm not convinced, actually. Yeah, he's still not in Ashes. That's tough. He wanted to stick around a bit further, doesn't. Cream might be in danger, though. Where's the shuffle? Fear into shuffle. Good pick off there. Cream doesn't bother flashing, but the fear allows for the shuffle very easily. Zuyan goes invisible with the final hour. Might keep running at this. Hoya slides away. Potential to keep running at this. More autos. Gluttonous Greaves going to get stunned up briefly. Turnaround is good. Care's coming, though. Overcomes Jewel. There'll be a wild growth, and that's too far from Zuyan. That's too far from Zuyan. Oops. Guwon was coming from behind. Sorry, Care was coming from behind. Jewel from down the lane. And there was no support from Top Esports. That is going to lead us to a bit of an interesting game state. Still 2,000 gold lead to Top Esports, but last 3 plays have been pretty NIP favored. They've got the top side play, just punish top lane again. Obviously, there's a mid lane gank as well. Just coming back into it a little bit. Top side of the map in particular. There's still the problem of Jackie Love being very, very fed on this Ezreal, and he could just 1v9. There is still a significant gold lead to Top Esports. We've obviously gotten the early dragons and the like as well. 30 seconds until the next one. You can play around this Drake, might be having an interesting conversation. The problem is Guwon needs camps to get towards his dragons to say, like, you can't play this. And I think, unfortunately, with that red buff steal, that's unlikely to happen. So it probably is just them giving up this dragon and playing for something like that top lane turret instead. Yeah, look, Care doesn't have TP. They're just going to go and try and pick up a few plates there. Interesting, Fongyu is also going top while the Shin's out. Looks to solo out. Excuse me. Don't face check this. Oh, Vayne. Stunned. Still has got flash. Has to get polymorph though. The Arc of Ruin. No one enough to condemn. Can only get one person there with that, obviously. And goes down. True shot barrage. Does tag Hoya. He's likely dead here. He's not going to get to TP out. Jackie comes on forward. It'll be a 1-for-1 in the end. Hoya doesn't manage to escape. Does he execute? No, he doesn't. Ezreal gets that. And Vayne still gets the assist. Okay. Not bad. You know what? Good interrupt there on the reset. Jackie with some laser-eyed focus. Jackie gets that bot turret. And that's first turret for Top Esports, and suddenly the gold's right back again. Nice on-screen moments from NIP, but Hoya dying there kind of hurts. They don't get to trade top particularly well because they've not really managed to touch turrets. And Top Esports still find themselves in a good position this game. For all NIP have managed to throw a few fun punches finally. We are looking at Soul Point on a very good clip here from Top Esports, and things are going to get trickier from there. At least they've managed to attack this Vayne and put her behind. Ez2 fed, yeah, he's going to be kind of hard to deal with. I agree. I think the Ezreal's a bit of a problem this game. Also, you know, the Ori's still in a good spot. Tien will be just fine. Up a lot of farm has gotten him a level advantage, which is a big deal into Shyvana. Hoya's played quite well here. Yeah, and might face check this. Doesn't. Oh, that could have been interesting. Top Esports with a 91% first turret win chance. Bit of trading through mid lane. Slow down a little bit here. I'm assuming NIP would love to get them way towards a turret. Hoya's going to be a bit careful of these long lanes, though, because we can keep trying to run at him. Tries to slide away. Sue jumps at Jackie. Good chunk there. Cultivation of Spirit doing some wonders. A little bit of jump onto Guwon, who's got the ult. Won't need to burn it. Herald. Started by Top Esports. Will I be thinking of fighting this? No. No, they don't really have the power. Zuyan's still around. Hoya's going to slide in. Stride breaker. Full Densen with the Dominus. That's how you deal with the Vayne, who slides back the other way. Hoya needs to drop away from this wall, but over comes the Vayne. Needs to not mess up the ult. Good fear. Could be a fair amount of damage. Keeps striding on forwards. Has that Ember Strike to get that one with a little bit of Molten Breath. Good work. Just keep attacking the Vayne, who's not getting the 1v1 she wants. And at least you do manage to cross-map there. Again, taking the Vayne out of the game does at least give you some options in the side lane, because basically, Renekton plus Shyvana will realistically lead to very dead target, assuming you both get on top of them. And the Vayne isn't really the point where she can 1v2. Her dying a little bit there is problematic in the side lane. Fongyue, don't think is going to find an interrupt. Vayne TP's top with her upgraded teleport from the top lane quest. It is going to be the Dusk and Dawn build on the Shyvana for more sustain. You've got to have the Lulu behind you, to be fair. Of course, Shyvana's always had very good hybrid scalings. AP Shyvana was a thing for ages, remember? With the Liandry's and Shojin. Still kind of viable now, even if it's not as common. Guwon did this build the last time as well. Didn't really get to see the most out of it. Two-shot barrage will not interrupt. Close, though. Close. That likely does mean mid-turret's going down there with the Herald coming on in. Got Dragon spawning in 14 seconds. And a fairly good press through the mid and bot lanes here will mean that top esports can run through. NIP's jungle, put down a load of wards. And look to hold court in the river. Do NIP want to fight this one? They're going to have to fight now or in 5 minutes. One or the other. Vayne looking like Owner Pixel right now. Oh boy. NIP into the enemy jungle. Put down a load of wards. Gonna try and get more of these turrets. They just want gold. They just want gold. 3,000 gold lead at 20 minutes is not quite the same as 15. So realistically, NIP is saying, look, we just bide our time. We get to 2 items, we play from there. And there's some truth to that, right? Like Azir getting the 2 items, Shyvana getting the 2 items, particularly the Dusk and Dawn, will make a big difference. Cream with the grubs, though, does manage to... Actually, no, it's not grubs. NIP did get those. Apologies. But still, with the Clockwork Wind-Up, is able to get a fair amount of damage on that additional turret. And the gold just continues to be about 3,500. At the very least, top esports haven't been able to extend it. Dusk and Dawn's now done for Guwon. He's definitely in a better spot in this game. Tien, though, has continued to pull ahead in terms of the farm. And that's going to make a big difference in terms of the level advantages coming into this mid-game. And again, Sun to Sky Black Cleaver is a potent combo for a reason. Jackie's about to tip over to that Muramana transformation on his Manamune. Fongyue is not a minion. Assume had a shield behind him. Doesn't land that Tangle Barbs. %120% gold efficient is pretty good. It's better on Ori than some because it gives her mobility in a game where she might well need it to run away from people like Renekton and Shyvana jumping at her head or dodge an Empress Divide. Gathering around the Baron. To be fair, your Baron DPS is very good as NIP. Very good. Azir, Shyvana, Lulu. Well, Yunara with the Lulu behind. I could see it. Hoya does get jumped on here. We are Baroning. Oh my god, we're Baroning. Hoya, don't int this. Needs to get over the pit. Does so. Does have a wild growth. Down to 9,000 HP. They Dragons descented for that. Ooh, boy. It is Hexplate Shyvana. And she's level 11 now. So she'll be able to farm back up to Dragon fairly quickly. But you can see the DPS check there. It's pretty strong. They're on vision. Unfortunate. Strybreaker Renekton looks longingly at Prowler's Claw and says, well, Rocket Belt's kind of that, right?
Yeah.
there's the Arc of Ruin. Zoom should be fine. Nice little attempt on his life, though. AP Shinzao, yeah, we've seen a little bit of it somewhere. Did we see it here? Or was I know? I think LEC did it. I want to say, did we see it here as well? Who was doing Titanic Dusk and Dawn? TN was doing Titanic Dusk and Dawn. TN was doing Titanic Dusk and Dawn. It didn't win, but TN was doing it. Titanic Dusk and Dawn. So it was kind of like the hybrid build, but we did see a little bit of it. Towards the enemy jungle we go. 25 seconds on what will be a soul fight. Shojin Jun for Hoya. Fairly significant. Rocket Belt done for Care. Will be at 2 items at least for NIP. The problem is, look at Jackie. He's just picked up a 3rd. That's real scary. NIP in the river first, though. Jackie could do a lot of work here. Assume's in danger. The Wild Growth keeps him alive. 2-shot barrage dropped him to half, though. Oh, Assume's going to have to back off. That's a problem. Guwon gets jumped on. He's going to get knocked up immediately. NIP forced into the 5v5, starts with Assume getting blasted by the Ezreal, and as a result, the damage keeps going on. Jackie might think about this, genuinely. That's likely game. That's likely game. Jungler's dead. Towards the Baron we go. Turn up, and Assume gets immediately annihilated, even through Wild Growth. Guwon split off and dropped down. And Top Esports find the game-breaking advantage. It ain't even close at this point. Hello, Salonius. Good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Might still look to try and trade regardless. Overcomes the Lulu. They're going to have to try it anyway. Fight possible. True Shot Barrage tags up Kay, who's going to be dropped incredibly low and just down. Vayne now gets to spread in with a Ghost. Assume is back up and available, having been chunked low. But Zuyan just tumbles to one side. Flash for the auto. Can't quite get it. Never mind. I appreciate the looking. And that's likely going to be the game. No real way, I think, for NIP to come back from this one. The Shyvana never really got to do her thing, did she? That's honestly off a lot of big early jungle invades and the fact that the lanes just got mashed. Just got mashed. We'll have a look at this replay again. And largely it is Assume trying to trade with TN here, and Jackie lands 1 QW. True Shot Barrage. Had to get Wild Growth as the Audacious Charge came on him. It meant that Care and Guwon split off. I wonder whether Guwon just had to ult. To where? To where? Maybe into the Dragon Pit and flash out the back. Come back to life and Hoya is dead. Well, this has been a bit of a diff in the lanes. Guwon as well. Again, getting caught up on the Wolf camp early. Kind of made things tricky. If he'd gotten that reset off, maybe he would have been able to get ahead of the curve. Didn't. Tien got ahead. Now the game is all but over. Top Esports stalled out a little through mid game, caught up that 3,500 gold leap, stacked the dragons, finally forced NIP into a honest 5v5, and NIP did not enjoy the experience. Nice mystic shot accuracy from Jackie, who has been a menace this game. He's a menace. Spider-Man out there. In New York Summoner's Rift. There's Slight Hoya looking for something with the Dominus. Can't quite find it. Again, you've got a last gasp and a Dream 2 inhibitors down. Make the play while you can. But no, Assume is blasted by the Flash Audacious Charge with the Shockwave on top. It's not been about the Orianna Shinzao combo. But even now, it's still potent in the back of the play. Gonna heal up with the passive. Jackie goes under the turret. They lose a couple members, but it don't matter because the AD carry survives. And the rest of NIP is dead in the wind. Towards the Nexus turrets we look. And Jackie Love and TM will blow them apart and bring us to a deciding third game. NIP convincing game one. Top Esports go back to the drawing board. Get counter-picked for Zuyam. Because things get real dicey from there if it goes wrong. Level 1 shenanigans, as we expected. Are we fighting level 1 at Raptors? No, we're not. Hoya's going to get a good chunk of Zuyan here. It is the Aftershock Cassante again. Aftershock. Also, Aftershock on Maokai. Of course, he was a Phase Rush Enjoyer. But that's not really going to be possible anymore. So he's going to go back towards that tankier variant. No DFT or any shenanigans like that. Again, should just get a free early jungle clear for now. But look, there's the invade. Neferi goes Raptors into enemy jungle, puts a ward down there in the river to spot out if Maokai comes across. This is what we were worried was going to happen. An early Prio was there in every lane. Every lane! Told you about this. I warned you! There's a bit of a fight over some various camps. Did pick up the blue buff at least with the smite and the flash. Gets out. Nice work, Tien. Still going to be not the most fun. Lost his Gromp and did have to burn his flash. There's a real problem about his Raptor respawn is going to be fought over. But good from Tien to not lose that. And of course, Guwon's on a slower clear because he went for the invade. Got back across to his own jungle. Makes things a bit spicy. There's a look at the picture-in-picture. Oh, just from over the wall with the sapling vision. Very nicely done. Flash. It's going to drag Maokai a long way. Remember, he doesn't have a flash. DN Aftershock is good. Can maybe take a fair amount of damage here. Sapling slow people down. Tien does need to be a bit careful here, actually. Dredge line. Jaw's going to get stunned up and gets away from the crash down. Likely dies here, but the shield is good. Tien needs to run away. Jackie's looking for more, gets slowed down. Will likely die for this as Care is here. So he gets first blood, but likely dies all the same. Are they going to flash for this? They are. Last auto. Ooh, assume. Yeah, he's got this. And Guwon gets Tien as well. Yeah, that's a problem. Tien ran out of ability to escape. So it ends up being a 2-for-1. A lot of summoners blown like across the board. Care also gave Cream a fair amount of ability to shove up him. Of course, Cream was once a massive Yone enjoyer. For my money, Cream's best champion's the Yone, not the Akali. I love him on Yone. He's really, really good on this. Was a real specialist on this back in 2023 with OMG. We'll look at the replay here. So this is basically after Tien got dragged miles over the wall by the flash. They go jumping on in. George just takes a long time to die, is the honest answer here. So Jackie has to full send to get him. At this point, he kind of knows he's dead. I don't really know why he bothered flashing. I guess because it earns the flash out of the Sivir as well. But the Dark Daggers landed onto Tien. Tried to run away. Bramble Smash is not enough to disengage as Guwon gets to flash Eviscerate and secure the kill. Gonna try and smite fight over this. There is no smite from Tien, so Guwon should pick that up. Double scuttle from Guwon. Can now go get his Krugs. He's still got a whole quadrant to clear, by the way. Did Guwon steal away Tien's Raptors? He might have done, actually, on spawn. Yeah, looking at where the wards are, he's got a control ward in the enemy jungle. I think he might have stolen away Raptors as well. So realistically, what happens here is Guwon gets his Krugs, probably resets, and then goes bot side quadrant. George's going to get a staggering blows route onto Jackie. Just get a captive audience. Gets the speed away with his passive, but loses a lot of his health to do that. Triple Aftershock on top Esports. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Feng Yue's not gone towards the spell book. Very tanky upfront stuff with the CC chains. Missing that. Fate Sealed, slightly unfortunate. And that could be quite important considering NIP do want to kind of pounce on a CC target. If they do that onto lots of Aftershock members, could end up being a little bit problematic. Hang on, all out. Flash away. Hoya's in danger. Is he going to get solo killed here? Could dash away, and he is just dead. Nicely done from Zuya. Good flash. Very good flash. Aftershock value, baby. Marlon with Pentakill here. Well, I mean, obviously. SQC on his Smolderwood as well. Assume needs to crash. Well, get away from the crash down. Spell shield. Blocks the staggering blows. Realm warp down. Oh, boy. Reminder, there's no flashes down here. This gets a bit problematic. Flash on him for the Rune Prison. Overcomes TN. Dark Daggers. The bleed. Not quite enough. Man, care flash for that. That's so sad. The problem is they see the Maokai going, we can't play any further. We'll force a reset here, though, likely. Somehow Jackie's still up 10 CS. Somehow. Who won draft? I think I preferred NIP's draft, assuming they played well through the early game. But top esports, if it comes to 5v5s, oh my days. Horror show if they're in the river first. If they're in the river first, dangerous. And actually, to be fair to top esports, this early game's been pretty solid outside of some overforces in that bot side jungle. I'll give Guwon some credit. He's managed to cause TN some problems early on. It hasn't led to a major advantage in the way I thought it might for the Neferi. Thank you all for the follows, by the way, Argos. TKE as well. Appreciate you guys. There's a flash for the Twisted Advance. That's onto a fairly important target, and Care has already burned his flash. The fate sealed after the grouped up 5 is horrifying. Guwon's going to try and get some damage down, but there's so many people who are so damn tanky. Then IP group up in the river and really regret it. Wonderful flash in from TN. Sets up for the fate sealed. Hoya's about to die here as well, who does not have any more ways to escape. Tries to speed up, but his minion blocked. And Cream gets another. Suddenly, top esports in the river. We worried about that. Oh dear. That's looking pretty game over here. NIP try to collapse in the river, fighting over vision as grubs are spawning and the likes of it. But TN flashes on in, gets onto the flashless rise. Loads of AoE CC across absolutely everyone you care to mention. Guwon finally says, oh, we're going to try and play this. But Hoya basically wasn't able to kill anyone off. Fongyue just gets to dance away. Hoya goes, right, I need to leave. And unfortunately gets mounted up on. The Thundering Blow isn't enough to disengage. And that is a problem. Be an issue if Cream doesn't get fed, but Cream does get fed. And now we've got a fed Yone to deal with. There's a bit of a dive happening top. Oh, Hoya. Yeah, not a lot to be done there. Good one with a potential response play, though. The Hound's Pursuit does get that one back. That's good work. Tien needs to be a bit careful because he's got a reset angle. Flash on in. Eviscerate available again. And Guwon gets 2. That's huge. Important for NIP. There's now a significant lead for this jungle of NIP, who has been such a core part of their win condition. Oops. Little overdive there. They do get Hoya, right? Didn't have the flash back up quite yet, but the Neferi turnaround is scary. Now, got that Voltaic Cyclo Sword. Yeah, reminder that applies on things like Hound's Pursuit and the Darkened Daggers. Tien dropped aggro. We had Aftershock. Yeah, I'm not sure either, honestly. Either way, it causes some problems, and either leads to some dangerous positions. NIP, congratulations on 9,000 kills. The 11th team to do so in the LPL. Dragon in a minute and a half, fighting over Skull Crab spawn. I don't know whether either team necessarily wants this. Both junglers don't have ults. Hook lands onto the support. Guwon Smite fighting over there, but again, hard to outfight. the Maokai with the Q. Jaw gets taken very low there by the curtain call. Took me a remember to remember what Maokai was called. Which, if you wonder what the stutter was, that was me forgetting champion names briefly. Bramble Smash plus Smite, basically, guys. Very hard to write. Outdo. So they get that one. Curtains were called, left people a little low, but no one dies. Jaw, I think, had the flash out the back of that play. Looking at the fact he's down the Hex Flash and was over the wall, I would assume so. Hoya being so far down into the K'Sante is really not good news. You pick the Jace to win lane, and he hasn't. He's 0-3. It's not great news. Again, you'll still be useful in the sense you can follow up some damage on whoever you CC with your Rise and Nautilus, but being down and experienced, and I think you're going to have this happen all the time, right? Good work. Reset on the W. Flash away. Doesn't matter. Zuian is 5-1. 5-1, and Hoya... It's not been the case so much this year, but notoriously once upon a time, when it started going wrong for this player, it went really wrong. We start becoming a bit of a lost condition. Right now, the 0-4 K'Sante, no, 0-4, Jace into the K'Sante, rather, is looking like just that. Maybe chunk out Cream a little bit there. Important. Maybe they can turn to play around this dragon. K'Sante goes for the nice EW all-out trade that resets the W from the bush. And K'Sante, well, Jace into this grasp has, or rather into this aftershock. Very limited options of turnaround damage. The aftershock is basically active throughout the majority of that trade. And life's kind of done at that point. Good chunk there onto Care, who's kind of on the wrong end of Cream TPing back in. Dragon still going to go down to TN despite the chunk actually onto Cream. So Dragon to top esports. Stop second Dragon for NIP. And, you know, realistically, it's on who want maybe some late game shenanigans from the Rise and the Sivir scaling to get some value there. Hoya, EW all out. The Aftershock's active. Gets the Aftershock explosion prop. Finally, Thundering Blow to knock away. Doesn't matter as the flash comes on through after and just can't escape. Just can't escape. Very nicely managed from Zuian, but Hoya, it just ain't getting any easier anytime soon. Still hasn't got his first item. And that, as they say, is a problem. Potential look towards this bot lane actually now. Got some vision control for now, but TN threatening with a Nature's Grasp over the wall. Okay, not too much there. Two levels down on this K'Sante. Oh my god. Yeah, Iceborne Gauntlet. Always felt good on K'Sante. Kind of been going back towards it again a bit more. This gets a bit problematic. I don't know about this, Care. Had to Ghost to avoid that Q3. I think if we've been hit by that, we might be having an all-out conversation again. Onivia now invading. When's our next dragon? A couple minutes. Herald's in 20 seconds. Probably is a Herald play, but again, I just don't know whether NIP have got the capacity to fight. They're going to have to try at some point. The problem is, this is kind of top esports. Now that their comps online, they survived the early game. And they've thrived in some cases, right? Their solo lanes are very strong. Jackie's going to get jumped on. This isn't a bad call. Realm Warp in as well. Really good full send. Really good full send. Realm Warp. Ult reset from Tien, who doesn't get the Bramble Smash timing quite right. He's going to get bled out for a fair amount of damage. Can't look for too much more. That probably earns you Heralds. Zuian's roaming up, though. And maybe you burn too many ults to make that play happen. And with it being Hex Rift, Jackie's ability to Hexgate into Curtain Call from over by Wolves is actually quite strong. So he'd be able to join any play regardless. Care flashes over the Fate Sealed. Might threaten the back end of this. Oh, yeah, and stop this. Got fights happening. Cream is out. He's all right. Thank you very much. I have a cup of tea, chat. I'm very excited. Oh yeah, doing his best to clear up turret. We'll put waves under the turret, but a Jace who's having to clear under turret feels miserable. He's finally going to have this Cull Cash in at 16 minutes. This game feels quite tricky. We've got Dragon coming in a minute, but Zuian's very deep here, but he is a Cassandra with all-out flash and a 2-level advantage. I don't like that. Cream unbinds his soul. Earl Grey. With a little bit of honey if I do detect. I was going to put the tea down and went, no, I actually want to keep sipping it. So easy for top esports. Yeah. Kind of feeling like a bit of a walk-in at this point. See. Only a 2,000 gold lead. And again, there are still some very dangerous combos. And the scaling is good from NIP. The only issue is, of course, that scaling comes without a real front line. Maybe things like the Rise can sort of bruiser and heal their way through. Neferi, again, with the mobility, can maybe just dance their way through some of those kind of big brawling game states and work out just fine anyway. Voltaic plus the Black Cleaver's pretty good. TN's going to start up this Heralds. Don't think we're going to see a contest. Yeah, they'd rather go for Dragon. I think that's the later game win com. Who won? Does a good job of Wing away there. Clean up on the Krugs there. Very nice from Cream. I appreciate that. Fate sealed, nicely done to dodge, but Kera's still going to eat a lot of that passive damage. My days, that was close. Oof. Cream is a problem. Yone had a good early game, guys. The alarm starts sounding. Nino. Who's going to invade on Krugs? Take what he can. Again, if there was a shining light here, it is the fact that Guwon... Oh, hang on, he might... Okay, he's not going to cancel the reset. I wondered. It's the fact that Guwon is strong, right? Hang on, Hoya's hanging around here. This could get a bit spicy. Cream. Oh, this could get a bit dicey, you know. They don't know that they're there. Can't quite find what they're looking for. Hoya's still off vision. Okay, TP's flying. They've kind of gotten a bit split off. Jaws left alone. Oh, the trap is sprung, but they've broken out of it. Realm Warp away. Should get out. Oh, nearly, Zuian. I appreciate the attempt at the interrupt. Bit of a chunk here in the picture-in-picture. They're going to try and go for 2 turrets at once to top esports and do so pretty convincingly, honestly. Hoya's going to try and get this turret at least, and that's probably the correct call. Get something back on the map. First turret of the game. All the outer turrets being down, though, for a team that is already going to struggle with Jin traps and Maokai saplings and no one really wanting to face check. Plus all the wards and the outer turrets being down. Like, how on earth did NIP ever get vision control? Because between all the wards and the saplings and the captive audiences, like, you are going to really struggle to walk through your jungle, which will be a minefield. It will absolutely be a minefield. T is great. Dragon's up in 50 seconds. Be soul point for NIP. Hex gates. Oh boy, fighting over vision. Into the enemy jungle we go. Okay, hang on. Hook onto the wall. Could dodge away. Nature's Grasp. Still going to leave Tien a little low here. He does go down. Fate sealed. Doesn't get as many as I think they were hoping for, but he does get the jungle at least. Feng Yue also drops. Curtain Call scary. Realm Warp out. Yeah, they're going to actually Realm Warp in. Jackie's in danger. Oh, no. Oh, NIP have just picked up 3. Oh, hang on. Just killed off Guwon, and that's all well and good, but you've got 15 seconds, and gonna take a little minute before someone comes up here. That was. We're gonna have a look at this replay, because I think Jackie thought he was gonna be a lot safer than he was there. So the Hex gate in, and they go, we're really strong. We're gonna put down loads of wards, get all the saplings down. Guwon goes in, immediately gets CC'd. The hook goes wide, and you're thinking, okay, it's not looking fantastic for NIP, but then basically the Fate Seal doesn't do that much, and actually NIP do enough damage to immediately annihilate the Maokai, really, and then Jackie gets Realm Warped onto, kind of not expecting the aggressive play, and it costs him his life. Big moments there, some big shutdowns. Only 1,000 gold lead now, and you know what? That was not expected. I thought Cream was going to do a lot more work there, but I guess because the damage is beginning to come on through from the likes of this Rise, the likes of the Sivir, who is at 3 items now, I'll note. And you've got 2 item Rise with a Roa fully stacked. Like, this Maokai isn't that tanky with this build. You know, he's got an Aftershock and a Dream. But if he's in melee range, he will die. Especially without enough people to throw a CC chain down there. Cream, yeah, didn't have the greatest start. Like, he got Guwon, but didn't really threaten the Rise. Didn't really threaten the Sivir. And as a result, NIP gets soul point. And they're only 1,200 gold behind. That's actually potentially a seriously game and series losing fight from top esports. That should never have happened. We are now at the point where, yes, this Yone is really strong, and Infinity Edge will make things very horrifying. Yes, this Cassante is very strong, but credit to Hoya has managed to shelve some of that deficit to a certain extent. But if Cream doesn't have a good fight, a lot of your gold goes with it. And 1,400 gold at this point in the game is not a lot. Serpent's Fang, yeah, wise. We're going to see Cassante's going to have loads of shields. Yone's going to have loads of shields. Rel's got shields. Barrier on Jackie. There's shields. Hell, probably at some point there'll be a locket from Feng Yue, so. Okay, to Baron we go. A little bit easier for top esports from the river first. And try and jump on a Guwon, who does eviscerate away. Saplings are annoying. Taking that much damage to make this play. Here we go on to Jackie Love. Guwon's gone real deep for this. Oh, Guwon. What are we doing? But they do turn it around immediately. And a goodbye, Rel. The damage is pretty disgusting at this point. Hang on, 3 items. Sit there, ricochets. You have the shocks all the time out. And Zuyan's alive, but for how much longer? A triple kill to the Rise, who proves himself and does his namesake. We roll back to ambitions, climb up the mountain. Reminder who was at the top there. It was Faker with the Book of Rise. And they just annihilated TES in the river. I thought Guwon had gone too deep, but the tanks aren't tanking anymore. Lord Dominic sends their regards. They blow up Guwon. That's great. Let's be real. The Maokai ultimate is decent, but the threat after's not fantastic. Tien is left desperately low. Cream gets annihilated, and Assume just runs rampant with care. Overloads and ricochets annihilate what should have been the better team in the river. But they aren't forced to walk through a minefield. They are collapsed on. They aren't able to keep distance. Cream doesn't get enough done there. And I think Jackie as well is really struggling on this Jhin to stay at a safe distance. I thought this 5-on-1 Cassante was going to be way more of an issue. Hasn't actually been in position in these fights to dissuade some of the divers, to really threaten Care and Assume. They burned a lot to blow up Guwon, and that's great. The Neferi's a problem. But so is the 3-item Rise, so is the 3-item Sivir. And now we've got Soul Point and Baron for NIP. And all of these good moments, all of this snowball has blown away. Like tears in the rain. Maybe the replicants of top esports, their time is up. Hextech Soul, somewhat ironic considering they're up against that. The Dragon of Progress. A problem. And all of this gold to pick up. Cream has to flash away. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's not been about the early game, guys, for NIP this series. It's about good counterplays in both games 1 and now 3 that have let them come into this game. And credit to them, it's a slightly different facet of NIP here. And I think some of it's been some coordination. I think some of it is just a little bit of top esports assuming they were stronger than they were. And look, you need to land some of these big CC changes. You've got the tools for it. It hasn't happened, though, has it? Finally got a 3rd item for Jhin. That'll be nice. It's important. Picture in picture. Hoya should just pick up this turret. I don't think we're realistically going to see too much congestion. And look, NIP, they don't actually need this dragon. Soul would be lovely. Guwon's across the back of the pit, and that makes things dicey. I don't think they know he's there. Wait. Watch the Neferi. Can jump into this pit just fine. Can trade his life just happily. All the while Hoya is on the inhibitor turret. There's an Nature's Grass. Forced out of the pit. Dragon secured by the side of top esports, but they now know where this Neferi is. Dark Daggers come flying on forwards. Nice W the immunes, but he's going to eviscerate through the deadly flourish. Look at Hoya in the picture. Picture is just the inhibitor. They'll trade Dragon for inhibitor, delaying the reset. So we are now in the back of the pit. Maybe asked to flash. Gets rune prisoned. Going to eat a lot of damage here. He's not tanky because he doesn't have the aftershock. And he's gone for Zeke's and Iceball. He's gone for damage and brawling and dueling. He's not that tanky. Across the extent of the play, Tien's now CC'd up. Might get traded, but no. It does just about fall as the dancing grenade comes across, I think. There's possibly a 4th shot, but now the TP in from Hoya can chunk onto Cream, who eats a hell of a lot of damage afterwards. He's on 10%. 2 dead. Can we just walk in here? I think we can. Your front line's gone. And you're out of ults. Cream and Jackie need to pull the curtains and the fate's sealed now, but I fear it's top esports' fates have been sealed. What a weird dragon contest. Oh no, they lose another 2. NIP in the most perplexing of turnarounds. Just get to walk through mid lane and say, yep, you've taken the dragon. How about your Nexus for it? It's an extended play, but it's done well. Hoya just puts on the backs to bite them every now and then.
Yeah, which is why if it does ever come to a 5-on-5 situation, I like IG's composition more, but we'll see how it all goes down.
Riff we go. And with that in mind, folks, brace yourself for our first Gyos in the new stadium. You know it's a full house when the mics start clipping just that little bit.
Oh, beautiful.
Level 1, a little bit of breathe and bin, just bonking each other with boomerangs and staffs, because that's an average weapon of war for a fantasy character, I guess.
Hey.
And an initial pause. You know, teething problems, new studio, all those things. Hopefully will not be a long-running issue.
Shun's already like, what is this, man? You're getting a pause right now? Bro, I need to get my level 1 Pantheon invade going on. What the heck?
Look at these Raptors. I'm fancying some KFC. Some popcorn chicken coming my way. Shout out to Nymaera as well for bringing me a tea midway through that. That's where I went. Thank you very much. Partway through draft, by the by.
Shout out to Alex.
The greatest.
Can he get me some tea too?
Yeah.
Can he ship some all the way from?
Make it. Well, how do you feel about fancy Earl Grey?
Oh, I love Earl Grey. That's my favorite tea of all time.
Good taste. Alex is a big Earl Grey enjoyer. I enjoy it very much as well. If I had to say my favorite tea of all time, though, Lapsang Souchong. Superb tea. Raw smoke in a cup, basically, but phenomenal.
Wow.
Also, if you want to be really fancy making rice, get yourself a tea bag of Lapsang Souchong, or one of the metal ones, and boil and make your rice with a tea bag of Lapsang in there, alongside a bit of salt and you maybe a bit of soy or something. You have very nice smoky rice. It's very lovely. Highly recommend.
Wow, that adds like a nice depth of aromatic, or like aromatic depth is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, agree. We're back to live as well. There's our aromatic depth can come in the form of gameplay. I'm not seeing anything super spicy here with the runes. Good level 1 trading from Brief, just forcing Bin off the wave there, which is good news. DFT on Rise. No surprise, the Storm Raider Surge just isn't as good as Phase Rush, and Deathfire Touch on Rise is kind of disgusting, just in general.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Sam. Storm Raider Surge in its current iteration kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's like it's a Storm Raider in a teacup, you know? I'm having a great time. The entirety of my casting is just slightly silly references and puns, I swear. That's all I have, folks.
See, this is why I'm letting you play by play, because I'm hoping to hear it more
often. Okay, brace yourself for the ultimate in casting dad jokes.
Absolutely.
God forbid I ever actually have a kid. Like, it's only going to get worse.
I think you would make a great dad, Sam.
Aw, thank you,
don't count yourself out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You'd be a super fun dad.
I
want to point out junglers pathing towards opposite sides of the map, though. So Viper and On, even though they are on the Lucian Melia lane against the Caitlyn Karma, they're not going to have any love and attention from Shun in the first 3.5 minutes here. So they got to be careful about taking too much damage. Obviously, diving without any tank supports can always be tricky, but if you're low enough, hell, I'm down for Way to just send it under the tower and trying to get this Jotchi Caitlyn lane off to the races.
And if you were going to do it with Enchanter, Calm is one of the better ones because she's got the shield, you mantra the W, put the renewal on, and suddenly you're just way tankier than people expect you to be. Breaking that tether can be a real nightmare if you want to stay under the turret, add in some Jarvan CC, and it's very doable, I think. Again, you've still got to do it through the Lucian and the Milio. It's not always the simplest, and Viper trading out well. That a little bit of Huya deciding to advertise to us, and that can disappear. Thank you very much. Actually, does he a little bit of a vigilance double tap there? Left a little low. Thank you for the follow, by the by. Way is also down bot side, so are we making this the early dive? Break the tether. Viper has to be real careful, Rafa.
Yeah, there's still a flash on this Lucian, but the barrier has been burned, and Way is set up in position for this dive. But Jotchi's too low to try and crash the wave naturally. Naya's going to come over as well.
This is 2 minions. They're going to try and make it out. They've held the wave to try and deny things. On has to flash from the Mantra Q. Follow through the flash to redirect the flag and the drag. Viper for the double tap. Gets it, but it's a 1-for-1. 2-for-1 overall. IG coming out ahead in the bot side.
I mean, Viper had no other resort other than to just go forward and try and trade 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but that was an impressive Way EQ flash, flag and drag. But topside,
it's a flash and a dream, but the shield vault follows. Bin can keep hunting for the Meganar, but they're not going to quite have the damage. Can't get through to the Hyperprog and breathe. Burns the flash, but does survive, and the opposite play. Have a look back at this bot side as Way holds the wave, and On left in a pretty precarious spot.
Yeah. So On immediately trying to flash forward, knows that now Way can just easily connect the flag and drag follow-up. Unfortunately, there's no damage behind that, so it's up to Naya to clean it up and burn his own flash. So even though it looks bad for Viper and On, it's a lot of summoner spells invested for that bot lane play. We'll see if Shun can find a way to provide some relief over to Viper and On.
Yeah, basically, if you look at the flashes from IG, they've got one. A singular flash on Mako's Karma. Everyone else is down the summoners, which can get pretty obnoxious here. We'll see whether, again, as level 6s begin to come on through, the likes of this Pantheon, the TF, can certainly look to repay the favor bot lane over the next few minutes. Realistically, going to take till something like that 6-minute mark for Shun to get that. I see that Raptor being missed. Hate that when that happens. It happens all the time, but that's because I'm bad at pathing. Don't worry about it. I can't do jungle camp aggro. There's a reason I'm stuck in high gold, low plat. Don't worry about it. All the while, though, Shun's going to look for an invade onto these wolves, and Wei is going to potentially have to do a little bit of skirmishing here with the Pantheon.
Get his ass. Get him.
Get it. The play-by-play is still strong in you. You can see the blood, just the bloodlust from Rafa there. And
I'm a Pantheon fiend, so in this matchup, this is the one opportunity where you can try and actually like jump on the Jarvan before he gets access to the Cataclysm and make things a little bit difficult for you.
Viper's not going to be able to break that tether. Maker will burn the flash to keep it rolling. Flag and drag after. Viper has no flash from the early play. Gets himself a little shield, but there's nowhere to go. Very clean from Mako. The Karma CC chain. I mean, that's normally On's thing. Not today. Topside Bing gets the ult onto the wall, but it's not really going to lead to all that much. Our eyes have to turn towards Viper, who's now 1 and 2, and Jachi and Mako feeling pretty pleased with themselves.
All right, new game plan for Shun. We are now trying to get everything invested into the Bin will carry eggs basket here, because Viper, even though they had vision on Wei after Shun invades him on the bot side of the map, plays a little too far up. Mako, beautiful flash to keep the tether in range so that it is an easy repeat visit on a flashless Lucian. And Jachi even getting to pick up some of that kill credit as well. It's a solid gold advantage, mostly through the bottom side of the map. But Knight has been quietly farming up on this Twisted Fate and is starting to pull a gold lead thanks to that passive as well. So I want to see some attention now from not just Shun, but also Knight, trying to now give Bin the guaranteed advantage to kind of leverage some stability back into BLG's side.
Interrupt on Breed's back, left at a third, just hit level 6 off that Skullcrab Knight to roam, and here comes the Destiny Gate. Boom. We know how this works. Gold card held to try and time out the counter-strike, and indeed it is. Wei's not coming over. 3-man Cataclysm into the flanking drag, and suddenly the dive's got real wrong. Trying to pick up Breathe, does finally get that, but Bin's left low. The Marshall Cadence auto is there, and now trying to jump away with the Grand Starfall, and they get out, but it's a 2-for-1, and IG, wonderful counter gank.
I mean, this is the play that we call for as BLG, but Counter-Strike is just so damn oppressive to try and override. Knight understandably has to wait on the gold card proc, but because he is ranged, he is not expecting Wei and Naya to be able to answer on that play. So he's tanking turret aggro while he throws out the gold card, then gets completely caught by surprise, and the flash away doesn't really give him any grace to be able to play out the remainder of that fight. Just beautiful sequence from IG's jungle mid.
On's going to get rooted up here a little bit. The level 5 was hit, level 6 rather, was hit by Vipers, threw down the culling, and Mako burned the heal to keep people safe. Well, look at this replay again, because again, you were absolutely right. I thought with Breathe having his back interrupted, it's going to get very dicey. Time out the Counter-Strike well, but look at the Realm Warp up for one's follow, and Wei, that is spectacular.
If BLG did not know that IG were going to make this counteract play, then I can understand them playing it a little slow. But if there's even an inkling, a suspicion of Wei being on the way there, I think you just have to just force it a lot faster and play to the left side so that you are not being kind of backed in a corner right there. But I mean, just credit to IG being able to find not only a bot side advantage, but also counteracting what could have been a major top side advantage for Bid. Now things have stabilized somewhat.
Breathe does have to be a little careful here. The Megadar into the wall. Hang on, this might well just be the death. That comes Grandmaster Mike, but Wei's coming on over. It's all a bait, but no! The wallop comes on down, and the Jax finally falls. Bin likely in danger with the Mini-Gnar, though, especially with Shun coming up. Maybe it starts turning around. Into the river we look. Gold card prevents easy follow-up from Neo, who was maybe looking for a little bit more. In the end, it is just that one kill. Bin does find his own advantage, even if it gets a little to the wire there.
That was really close there. Flash was used by Bin at the very end just to make sure that he didn't drop a kill over to Wei, but Wei returning to mid!
There's the Cataclysm after the Mega Flare click to try and dissuade something, but there's still a route from the Karma. Now On's there. I think the switch switched off. Nice pick up there as Nia gets himself a third, and suddenly IG are 1,500 gold up. The majority of it is actually going to be found hilariously in mid-jungle. Nia, the rookie, the second rookie to join the team this play. Ironic, really, considering where Rookie is not in the team right now, and he's putting Knight to the sword 0, 2, and 1. And IG, Rafa, this is looking like a good early game to me.
Absolutely, Sam. I mean, IG jungle mid movements have been very proactive and they've been very proficient. Cataclysm onto a flashless Twisted Fate from the failed dive onto the top side, super easy to set up. And this Twisted Fate pick has a lot of merit to it when it comes to being able to make proactive side lane plays, but when you're building Rod of Ages, you just don't do damage early. You need time to build up, and the fact that Knight has been kind of dragged around onto 2 unfortunate botched plays from BLG, he now has to pay the consequences, whereas Nia has gotten paid on the early movements.
Yeah, he's having a very good time, and now IG going to turn up to this dragon. Not the earliest dragon we've ever seen, a 10-minute one, but I think IG going to be happy enough with it. And look, we've seen the 2 cardinal sins of global play, Rafa. We have seen the attempted pull of the double globals topside fail until your big early cooldowns don't lead to anything, and then IG do the right thing into globals, which is attack the global and succeed. So now Knight is 0-2-1, 1,500 gold up to IG. They picked up that early dragon. At least Bin is doing well in this matchup, and again, there has always been that question in the LPL. What do you do about Bin's Gnar? Can you manage it? So far, the answer has been, 1,000 gold lead's pretty scary. The problem is I look at the rest of the map and go, I think IG on the whole gonna feel okay about this.
Yeah, Bin's gonna need a little bit more of a wall of diff to kind of override how disastrous the bottom side of the map has become for BLG. But it's really impressive for IG to be able to pull off this kind of early game advantage, especially against a team that has been so synonymous with win game or smash lane, win game kind of scenarios here.
I mean, question for you, because I'm curious what you guys over on LPL English, of course, for those who don't know, I'm called Rafa, very regular over on LPL English, part of the podcast stuff there as well, always great fun, highly recommend you go check that out. But curious to see what your thoughts have generally been on Viper and On as a duo, because honestly, as a duo in lane, I think they've been a little mediocre. Individually, I think they've been pretty strong, particularly if On's allowed to roam, if Viper gets to team fights, that's all well and good. But the laning phase, I'm not so sold, mate.
Yeah, ever since Split 1, I felt like Viper came in with a lot of expectations and a lot of promise to be essentially a ceiling raiser for BLG over Elk. And yet, we saw that Elk was definitively the best AD carry of Split 1 during the regular season. And he was laning not only a lot better than Viper was, but also having much more grand, heroic performances in those team fights. Obviously, Viper has had a lot of the responsibility kind of alleviated because you had shouldn't been. Hang on, mid lane play again.
There's the Realm Warp. Nia gonna get that Rune Prison Way, hanging on a potential Cataclysm, doesn't want to burn it, so a little bit overzealous there, not quite enough damage at this point. Again, you've only got 2 stacks on a rower, and with Way not having his flag and drag available, the only thing you really do is just sort of stare menacingly at Knight, who goes, yes, I'm just gonna sort of back away slowly.
Fine, you can have this minion wave, yeah. I will let you push into me one time here.
Just this once.
But back to your point, Sam, I think the other thing too is that Viper and On, there have been times where BLG tried to play strong side towards the bottom side of the map to see what happens. And the catastrophic difference that it makes to Bin's early laning phase and advantage has been so overwhelming that I feel like BLG have just been forced to weak side Viper in a lot of scenarios, and now Bin is about to feel a 4-man gank.
He's got double globals available. Keep an eye on that mini-map. They might try and overplay this. There comes the Grand Starfall. IG now potentially in a spot of danger. The Comet Spear catches 2. TF doesn't burn the ult, but Shun has to burn that Grand Starfall, but does successfully defend Bin.
Good use of the Grand Starfall, and Knight just making sure that he didn't even need to pop the Destiny's Gate as well. He's able to collect some extra gold off of that Crystalline Overgrowth. BLG just need to be able to slow down the pace of the game and still use their global tools to find these quick picks, because IG, what they have currently in strength right now, outside of this Rise Realm Warp, do not match the quick rotation ability from BLG to be able to make on the map.
Completely agree. Very difficult to manage that one indeed. Of course, let's see On starting to roam around, get some wards down again. On at his best has been largely when he's been unlocked from lane, because one of the big things, of course, is Viper's been pretty self-reliant on things like the Ezreal in terms of being able to look after himself. For all like the lane dominance hasn't been there necessarily. And again, there was a lot of attention thrown bot this time around. Don't get me wrong here from IG, so I don't think it's entirely on Viper and On to have come away with an advantage regardless. There's the flag. Won't turn into the Dragon Strike to follow that one up, but we'll interrupt Knight's back by that walk on forwards. But the long and short of it basically has been that On has been probably our best support in the league on average across the year. I think that's pretty easy to say. It's been pretty spectacular, but a lot of that has been on. Champions have been able to leave lane, turn up to skirmishes, turn up with Shun, and be a very dangerous jungle support duo playing around the likes of Bin and that top side. Milio, not the simplest to do that with. You're not an Elise, you're not a Bard.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to enchanters, his best champion has by far been the Bard, since it is kind of like the perfect bridge between both agency and... Oh, Shun, careful.
Here comes the Destiny Gate, though. Makes it a bit spicy. Aegis is decent. Wei gets sent behind Shun. He's going to get Ace in the hold and will die, but Wei now left very much on the wrong side of the rip. Flash over for a piercing light. They'll get that kill. It might actually been a bit of a shutdown there if I caught the amount of gold coming on forwards. The Breath of Life keeps Viper rolling for a second or two. Just get Rune Prison for a second. Knight now being forced to run away. Nia gets a cleanse from Mako's Mikhails as the slows are coming on forward. The Super Mega Blaze just wide on JachiB now. He's split off. It's a bit of a mess on the retreat from both teams. Everyone's left a little low, but the end result is both top junglers left in the dirt. All the while, Bin gets that bot side turret and just keeps chunking away at Breathe.
Unironically, it is an okay fight for BLG, because anytime that they are avoiding a straight up 5-on-5 where proper battle lines are established and you can take these skirmish scenarios, I trust in BLG's hands a little bit more. Oh, re-engage!
That's a wonderful Grand Starfall flash away from Mako. Just about gets away with it. I am hearing you, Rafa. I was a little nervous there too. But the key there as well is BLG managed to deny about 2 waves in mid lane. And Jachi, so all that CS advantage he had just kind of disappears.
Immediately burns the flash out of Mako. That should be enough priority to just take this Rift Herald off the rip. IG, though, can always look for their second dragon of the game, even if it is very late. So Drake stacking, while still available for IG, it's not going to be super soon into the game.
Agreed.
And with this Rift Herald, I want to see if they can try and break open this tier 1 turret, either in the mid lane or the top lane, and just give themselves a little bit more access into the jungle quadrant. Because like we said, Sam, it's all about the picks. You cannot fight 5-on-5 proper against IG, but if you can force numbers advantages, then your prospects are looking a bit better.
I completely agree. Up comes Viper, got himself a cozy campfire and a few warm hugs to maybe extend the range a little there, but the turret's still going to fall in mid lane, and that's significant. Makes the Lucian's job a little harder, who does so love that mid prio. That's what's supposed to enable you to look for those big global plays, as the Lucian threatening through the power of those leaps forward. Potential play towards his top side. There's an overload of both solo lane. As TP's in, I think we've got ourselves a little bit of violence, Rafa. Bin with that Mega Gnar, nowhere near, but does have a big shield. Just forces IG to walk away. Kind of the end of it.
I mean, the ambulance in the background of your microphone.
Yeah, I know.
I think they're also anticipating a bit of a bloody fight.
Hang on, Way's around.
Someone's about to go down.
Whoa.
Oh, shoot.
That's a lot of damage. The Cataclysm's there, but the wallop, hang on, Way gets monstered. Absolutely annihilated. That'll be a Lichbane proc or 2 in there, and what looked like a 2v3 suddenly ends up being still a win for BLG somehow, somewhere. Now, On and Shun get to go into the enemy jungle, nab away a red buff, pick up this top lane turret. That looks real good for BLG.
Oh, it's the classic Gnar versus Jarvan experience. He throws on the Cataclysm, but then Bin just smiles and says, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me, buddy.
Oh, reminds me of that one time that Mankind threw someone through Hell in the Cell 16 feet off the cage and into the announcer's desk, you know? It's that kind of vibe. And it's pretty damn dangerous. Have a look at the replay, because you're absolutely right. Mega Gnar is coming. And it looks like a good turnaround play. It's a gank, haha, and then Mega Gnar.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say after that one, Sam.
That's the analysis. That's all you need. He's 2,500
Way's like, all right, guys, I got him trapped, and Breathe and Nia are just like, that's a Mega Gnar in a Cataclysm. I don't want to get in there.
No, yeah, this one's on you, bro. Goodbye. Yeah, not great. And now, of course, Bin does have that gold lead to potentially wallet diff this one out a little bit. 3-1 on the Nart. Very, very scary. Worth noting, Breathe has gone the Dusk and Dawn build on the Jax.
So, for anyone that is unaware, Dusk and Dawn did get a slight change in effects less overall AP scaling damage, but now has an on-hit healing effect. So it's kind of like the AP version of Sundered Sky. So very effective for bruisers to be able to sustain damage. And the stats for it are still really nice for Jax because it's 20 ability haste, 70 AP, 300 HP. Overall, a nice, just like, item for AP Jax and just bruisers in general. And the nice thing is this makes it so that all the magic damage profile is not just on Rise. It is split evenly now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Slightly unfortunate for Nia, who does not get the rower stack up to level 15, which often feels really good, though he is really close to 15. So I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it largely is should get it off this next wave or so. So, you know, not miles off. A couple minutes until the next dragon. Again, IG, not the fastest dragon stacking, but I think if you're looking at scaling Jax, Rise, you'll take that in terms of some scaling options here. With BLG, their point of power really is now.
It would have been nicer if BLG were the ones Drake stacking, because this game does not get easier for them later the game goes on. Reminder, they wanted to be ahead of the curve. They wanted to be, at this point in the game, very, very much ahead in their solo lane department, so they could always force side lane pressure with these globals, but they are playing catch up. And as good as BLG are, it's not an easy task to perform at this stage.
No. And what we have seen is, like, BLG have been a little disrespectful on side lanes for all their very potent side lane playmakers. Sometimes if they are the weak side lane, they overstep. They greed for the waves every time. They will never drop a wave if they can help it. It means they got a lot of good farm and all that kind of thing, and you can see it. Bin is up a lot of CS on this Gnar. He is up a lot of CS. And yes, there's been a lot of attention topside that's made things very challenging for the Jax to get involved. He's 2 levels down. That is going to be a problem. That's not changing anytime soon. But if this Hex Soul point comes up, I start to get more nervous again. I don't know how easy that's going to be to set up as things like the Caitlyn traps begin to be coming around. There's an arm guard now for Breed, so his ability to team fight even from a ways behind is going to be a little challenging rather.
And it is definitely challenging for Shun right now on this Pantheon anytime that he's not able to immediately lean to the strong side of Bin's Gnar, who has a massive 3,000 gold advantage in just pretty much a full item up on Breathe at this point. Whereas trying to play through Viper and On, he needs to protect his bot lane, but he does not feel nearly as potent. And wow, that's a lot of damage on the Ons.
You're in a great conversation there. I just saw that ace in the hole. Went, ow! Slightly involuntary yell from the play-by-play. Dragon's going to get started nonetheless by IG. And of course, On being low makes this a little tricky. TP's coming on in. BLG might look to contest this nonetheless.
Bin just TP'd 5 feet in front of him for the empowered shield, I'm assuming? Question mark?
Must be. There's a Cullen coming on down. Knight gets a gold card, but over the wall goes Wave regardless. Breathe. Counter-strike backs away. Bin does hop over the wall. Remember, Wave's burned a fair amount. Here comes the Destiny Gate. Flashes the flag and drag, but the interrupt doesn't happen onto Knight. He still comes on forwards. The gold card flash forward. Gets that one to Neon. Not running away. Gets himself a little bit of a McHale's and an option to run away as Jachi sped up by the shield, and Calm is still not enough. Breathe into the backline. Gets a little bit of something, but I don't know what you're going to do. You're playing the wrong game. This is League of Legends, not Counter-Strike. And the only person headshotting is Shun with a Comet Spear. Mako needs to run, and turns out BLG can still team fight.
I will never question a Bin teleport again. Man's literally TP'd 5 Teemos in front of him just to get the TP shield, and he uses it to just walk in and just start asking multiple questions to Wei as he hits him over and over with a boomerang blade. Flashes the EQ knockup, puts Wei in a really bad spot, and the rest of IG were just straight up confused on what to do. They were panicking, they had no idea how to play out the scenario, and unfortunately Breathe is just kind of useless on this AP Jax because he had no way to pressure the backline as everyone else from BLG are just pretty much brute forcing their way and chasing them down the river in this fight.
You can sort of see the gold card for some awkward moments there from Wei, and then Bin just hops in and says, right, I'll do it myself.
Just look at this. I mean, at this point, IG are on multiple fronts and kind of confused on how to force fights since Wei is not able to just send him to the Cataclysm, and he already burned his one escape tool trying to knock up Bin, and it just puts IG in a really weird spot of how to play out this fight. And once you start panicking in the eyes of BLG, this is the worst time to do it because BLG are immediately going to punish and just have the full confidence to run you down.
And shout out to Knight as well. Doesn't get interrupted by Breathe on the Destiny Gate. Finds another flank angle in between Bin from one side, Viper dancing on the other, Knight threatening with the rapid fire, Lich Bane gold cards from the far angle, TPing into the blue buff pit. Basically, they said, well, we're not going to front to back you. We'll just tear you apart bit by bit, moving from different angles. And the team fight shape was atrocious there from IG. You just couldn't deal with all the different threats from so many different angles. Bin's got Sterex at this point. He'll have Wit's End soon. All of that tenacity makes things really tricky. And again, it's an AP Jax. Wit's End sounds phenomenal into Rise Jax to me.
Yeah. You have a sufficient amount of magic resist to be able to shrug off any of the damage. And I know that was able to get a lot of gold for himself early on, and he has the actualizer now. This is a very, very strong Rise on paper, but this last fight was just kind of proof to me that IG, when they're put in an uncomfortable scenario, they still lack the veterancy across their newer members to understand how to play out these fights. And Jachi and Nia were unfortunately kind of the main responsible ones in that scenario when Wei is not able to set up a clean engage for them.
Knight, forever a library card enjoyer, goes and picks up a 5-stack Medjai's. My goat. Love it. He's really feeling it right now. Worth noting, BLG got a big goal lead after that, but they didn't get Baron. And for all we've seen the library card and these good items and stuff, I still want people to keep an eye on the fact that IG did get the dragon. They are at soul point. It cost them dearly in terms of the gold, but they have got that potential win condition. We've already talked about the scaling and the fact that BLG theoretically are not going to have the most fun in a front to back.
Yeah. IG really need to make sure that they are setting up proper vision for this next dragon and that they get their main frontline members in the right position here, because if BLG pull them apart like they did in that dragon fight, I don't care about this 5-on-5 composition you have set up, and they're gonna make a sideline play first.
There's the gold card, the shield vault. Shun goes down.
Goodbye.
Or rather, Shun gets the kill on Nymaera. Rather, Shin goes down on top of him with a big knee in the back is what actually happens. Let's phrase that correctly, Sam. And the Global's finally meant to be a proactive move. This is where things get harder. The map gets a little bit smaller. Wade's getting jumped on. The Mikhails does save him for now. The TP behind, but I don't know whether this TP could be a moment to yell Kobe, because that one sucked. Breathe needs to hop away. Out comes more damage. Breathe left golden for a second, but I think it really should have been Silver, because you're coming out second best, and Shun gets another. Suddenly BLG, the globals that weren't firing in the early game, well, they're sure as hell firing now.
Oh, and IG are now just falling apart here, Sam. They are panicking, trying to just kind of throw anything at the wall to see what sticks there. And it's just a series of very, very small mistakes that BLG instantly capitalize and punish upon. And it just leads into more forced errors from Invictus Gaming. And now, I don't care what happened in the early game. I don't care what Wei was able to do. BLG are now ahead 6,000 gold at 27
minutes. Flash for the Rune Prison. They might still be able to have their top mid laner fumbled up a little bit here. Stuck around trying to reset, looking for that split push, and will likely just die here, and does indeed. Right. Nice pickup. Force the flash. Baron's up. You've lost your TF. Do you want to force the 4v5? I think now is your last moment to make a go of it. And BLG seem to know it too.
Bin is walking on over. Yeah, he doesn't have TP, but he is still really strong. IG can at least try and look for it, but they have to turn. I think that is your one way to try and make this a bit safer as a Baron pool.
Some vision. It's not easy. They're going to find their way into a bush and see whether they can catch someone out. No, I think the ruse is up, and IG think about it, look to set up around it, just can't do everything they're looking for there. BLG, by the by, did pick up that last dragon as well, so Soul was denied, but IG back in the river. There is that one ward they don't know about that's just making everything a bit of a known quantity right now for BLG. At the very least, IG did tear the pages out of Knight's book, so he's got a blank Medjai's now.
Yep. Unfortunately, IG saw that Medjai's and said, all right, that's a little disrespectful, man. You didn't even have a good early start. We're going to shut that snowballing down right here, right now. And IG, like you called out, this ward has been... Oh, no way.
Out.
Okay.
Yeah, yes way, but he's out. The amount of times I've made that pun. My favorite one at the minute is whenever Guwon's on, I'm yelling "Go on, my son," which is just great. Lot of joy. Lot of joy as a British sports fan. Like it just makes me smile.
Carry on my wayward
play-by-play communication.
I can appreciate it.
Wayward son.
Wayward son. Yes, yes. See, I've given you another diabolical one to use for the future. Alex, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
No, he's not.
I'm having a blast. All right, well, check this out, Sam. We're about 3 minutes away from another Hextech Dragon spawning where IG could try and challenge for another chance at getting the Hextech Soul. And there's not many dragons in the game that, despite being down multiple thousands of gold, that you can still kind of like come back in. Hextech Soul is the one where I feel more confident. Oh, Shun!
We're going to go for the aggressive play. Shun's going to get stunned up. Doesn't have a GA. Look at the mid lane, though. Knight goes in for the Messiah. Viper in. Looking for the kill with Jack. She survives. The Breath of Life does not keep Viper alive. He's down. They've lost another. That makes it a bit spicy, but of course, Bin does at least pick up the Jacks on the other side. Knight needs to run away. But right now, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of IG. The health bars are pretty dicey here. Oh, my God. They just about get the recalls off. That was a close run thing, and make no doubt about it. But Viper and On can't secure the kills they were hoping for in the mid lane.
All right, chat. Everyone can unclench there. Jachi just able to make it out barely. Felt the breeze as Bin's Meganar was slowly lurching his way towards a very, very low health AD carry. Oh, my goodness. Baron potentially being started up by IG. Knight already TP'd in.
Bin's nearly got Mega. This gets a bit spicy. Jachi just get to the back of the pit. We'll have a 90 caliber net if they need it. There's a speed up from Calm with the Defiance. Look at Shun, though. Potentially able to come from a flank angle. That could get a bit spicy, but they've had a lot of flashes. They don't know where the patsy it is! Flash to the shield ball, but the flag and drag denies for a while. The Aegis assault's in, down to the J, but they've blown up the support. But it is only the support. Breeze TP'd in. Shun's now going to get melted as Nia finds another. Go straight to Rune Prison. Do not pass go. Breathe gets across the wall with a leap strike, and Baron stopped, but Jungler dead. And reminder, Shun will be dead for a little while, as that's a bit of an interesting Hexgate. Don't know about this one, but the Realm Warp! Jachi brings down Viper, and BLG, oh no, tap the sign. Bad late game is back to play.
Without Bin, that's a majority of your gold advantage just gone in the fight already. IG now fighting on proper battle lines, but if they want to do this, Baron, they have to do this quick. Shun has Grand Star Fall. He's back up in 20 seconds, and I think it's enough for IG to give respect over to the counterplay. They do not want to take the 50-50 smite. There is a Hextech Soul that they can try and contend for instead. They're going to just take their bases and spend their money.
That seems about right. Well, I'll go back to this replay, because it starts with Shun basically ending up in a bit of an awkward 1v1, 1v2, and you kind of get this weird split fight on two sides of the map, and basically the attempted play from Knight just doesn't work.
Once again, a majority of the gold advantage for BLG is in the Meganar, who was pounding away at Breathe. So even though Breathe was not really a contributor in this fight, he'd made one great impact, and that was driving away the very fed member of BLG from the rest of IG's backline there, where Knight and Viper and On just could not do it in the 3v4.
To the Rift we go, though, or specifically the River. Hex Soul still available for IG. A lot of flashes are down here. Bin and Knight have theirs, though, and that could be significant. Flag and drag in. They're going to try and jump onto Bin, who goes over the wall.
Oh, God,
just about survived, nearly at Mega. She'll be able to get it by hitting the Dragon. Will need it for the extra health. Look at Breathe. He's on vision, but may still be able to find the flank angle. Dragon secured by Way. Hex Soul for them. Cataclysm. The flag and drag out with the J-Boy. The Breath of Life. The Meganar means nothing because he still dies. The lightning keeps flying, and unfortunately, the circuits are shorting. Viper goes down, defanged. Grand Star fall away. But he's only into his red buff, and he gets flagged and dragged into a 6-foot hole. IG ace BLG and claim Hex Soul to boot.
Oh, Sam, what did I tell you? Any gold advantage can be completely eradicated with the power of the Hextech Soul, and it's all more than that. It's a 5-for-nothing ace, and IG are ready to clone out game one.
Oh, well, they just find everything they could ask for. Way's Smite Key sends them to heaven, and a game one victory. We talked about the front to backs. We talked about the 5v5s. Yeah. BLG 5k means nothing there, and they find themselves looking at a great script. They find themselves looking down the barrel of a game one loss. And I think we've got to go back to the drawing board here a little bit. Look, BLG, good stuff. So every team fight is not going to be easy, because you can smite off a spell shield. You can't do a tempered fate. Gyos to come, and I hope we don't have too much level 1 action. We're good. Nicely done, crowd. Very full out there. And again, it is the debut of IG's fancy new stadium in Shanghai, just down the road from the neutral venue. Look at the runes there. Not seeing anything super surprising. So the ambassador went towards the grass. It's a melee matchup. You don't need the electrocute into the mini-nar or whatever, which we sometimes see. And that all makes some sense to me. What are we expecting out of this early game? Because at least to my eyes, I'm seeing a fair amount of early prio from BLG, and that probably gives Shun quite a lot of license.
If On and Viper can get the early wave shove and the health bar advantage, you free up On, and he can hit a devious lick with Shun onto some of Vi's camps in the second rotation, or maybe even the first rotation. Now, I appreciate that Wei started on the bottom side of the map and on his red, so that there was less of a chance for some kind of strong invade from Shun to contest him on the Raptors. They just have the ward down. They are pathing to opposite ends of the map, where this time around, Wei will be trying to support Breathe on the first rotation of his clear, whereas Shun, if bot lane is low enough, there is potential. Not a strong look, though, for a dive, because trying to dive an Alistar early on can be a
miserable, yes.
Yeah, very miserable experience, for sure.
Keep our eyes on it. Though still the early shove is there on Bard. He is everything you love and hate in Bard players. He will win you games. He'll do some silly things. I still remember that quadra kill fight he basically got in the enemy blue side jungle on Bard last split. Wei might look at Bin, who's been proxy farming here. They'll see that the Vi is there. He'll flash away. Going to try and TP up. They're out of CC, but he gets to run out. Very good, Bin.
He recognized, like, hey, Vi only has one form of CC, and that's her Q, and she just used it to get over the wall. Well, I have 10 seconds to book it and get the hell out of here. TP, CY at in the chat, and level 2 or 2v2 all-ins continue to play out in BLG's favor.
Yeah, of course, because he was proxy farming, it's not like even the ambassador could really get the wave shoved, so it's just a slightly awkward recall time. But even then, still gets the cloth armor, gets the boots, relatively happy there. Shun can maybe look at Nia here, who is relatively shoved up on the Vi, is not necessarily here as yet. Flash away, and rightly so from the victor.
Ooh. And that's all they need. Shun doesn't need to press to the advantage forward because they don't have necessarily full vision on where Wei's Vi was at the time, and trying to use spells to only get counter ganked. That is a strong suit of Vi when the champions have already used their mobility spells. Wei is going to drop down into the top side and see if he can at least get some camp timers on his information for the next rotation of camps. But BLG right now, here's the play, Sam. You just burned flash on this Victor, and you already have push from Viper and On. So now what I want to see happen is on the next deploy, Viper and On get a wave shoved in, and then you get On behind Raptor Wall, magical journey in, and then just catch this Victor by surprise and ruin his day and set up Knight for success.
I'm with you. I think I can get behind that play. All right, well, there's the playbook being run. If any NFL teams need an attack coach out there, Rafa's definitely available for hiring. Keep your eyes on that one. And we'll see what they can make that happening. As it stands, though, IG have managed to get themselves a little bit of a shove down this bot side. Nice from Mako there to get the Pulverize into headbutt away and try and deny a little bit of that shove there. But again, this is still a Sivir and a Bard. Their ability to just ricochet and boomerang blade down a wave is hard to dismiss. They are eating quite a lot of early chunks there. And again, the answer to whether you should let Orianna through draft is nearly invariably no. If you're just going to run another control mage into it, the other control mage just tends to have a bad time, and Orianna is just so potent. Who your ads be gone?
Boom.
That's the
they have been sent back to the Shadow Realm. Look at this. On and Viper get a decent shove on. On is now unlocked from bot lane for the time being. He is spotted on the Dragon Pit because there was a control ward placed there. I don't know by who, but at least gives them vision. And so that is kind of the turn that BLG takes and spends from their wave push from bot lane, instead of looking to Nia, because he was on reset, pushed out of lane by Knight, taken very low. And for his credit, he is playing this next few minutes while he does not have flash very defensively. He understands the risks of dying while his flash is on cooldown.
Does it matter if BLG loses this series? To some extent. Some of the things that are on the line here basically is between NIP and IG. If IG go 2-0 in this series, and that is important. They need the 2-0. There's still a possibility of 4th place finish for them. It's certainly not easy. They can't drop any more games. Series is kind of like the next step in that, but they can't drop games, and that could matter. For BLG, they've locked top 4 most likely. Like, it's basically impossible for them to drop out of that. In fact, it might well be impossible. What they really would like is just top 2, which at this point looks like a likelihood.
Yeah, and I will say, even first seed could be the difference between having to play against Weibo, IG, NIP, or WE, assuming all 8 of our teams make it through to playoffs. And I definitely would rather like to play against WE versus the other 3.
Yeah, I think that seems to make some sense. I agree with that one. That feels like a fairly valid thing to be chasing. Of course, sometimes we see once teams feel like they've locked top 4, they just take their foot off the gas a little. Understandable with the schedule being as intense as it is, and I think we've seen a little bit of BLG. I won't necessarily say full slumping after first down, but the 2 series losses are there for a reason, guys. And part of that is BLG just falling back in some old habits, some disrespectful side laning. Daney was calling it, like, if we don't have our jungle support on fire, everyone tries to be a hero, and we can't have everyone be a hero. Sometimes you just need to take a backseat and be carried, and certain players are not fantastic at doing that.
Definitely have loved Daney's addition to BLG. I think he has been the most effective coach for this squad in quite some time, ever since the departure of Tabe to anyone's legend from 2024 to 2025. LPL just reminding us that Mbessa got heavily nerfed on this patch and now really relies on setup rather than just being able to raw dog a public execution on her own.
Which is
now you
probably
can
fair, to be honest. And again, I think it's you can still do it, but it's a lot harder. Any mobility, any basic movement speed really will get you out of that dodge. But again, you are running this with an Alistar and a Vi for a reason, so theoretically still has that capacity. Even if, of course, doing it by yourself in those 1v1s gets that little trickier.
Yeah. And I don't remember if this is the patch that Mbessa got compensation buffs or if it's next patch, but Mbessa's getting compensation buffs.
Of course, she needs those. Breathe is kind of going chunk quite low. Maybe they do if we're looking at that, but overcomes the rest of IG, and the dive squad is here. Can they get themselves an Olympic record? There's the ult from Bin. Kind of means they go, you know what, we probably don't have the full chain here to bring down the Scion, so we'll take that as the win. But now we come mid lane. It's a little later on, no magical journey required. The cosmic binding just slows Nia, and without, of course, Shinzao around, no realistic way to turn that into anything more. Of course, the flash being back up, that's not going to happen. Wei will have a start up the Grubs. Are we going to see a contest from BLG? I don't think so.
Yeah, Shun is on the other side of the map. There is no chance that the Grubs are going to be challenged, even one of them. This is a really cool sequence from IG. Obviously, it didn't get any kills from it, but you could see how it was structured. First, Nia, a minute ago, throws down the Chaos Storm to try and get an health trade and force Knight back so that he has priority in this wave. Then Mako TP's top because regardless whether they get the pick on Bin or not, they force an ultimate, and they are able to have priority for Grubs. But now, Jachi is left alone on an island, and with the Temper Fate coming in, oh no!
The statue goes golden. Jachi does not. Has to flash out of the Cosmic Bunny, but does survive. TP's come in. Will there be a magical journey out? There will indeed. That gets them a fair ways away. Wait, with a blast cone available, may look for a little bit more. Won't necessarily find it. And the play fizzles, but costs a few summoners from Victus Gaming.
Really clutch flash from Jachi. Could have been one that allowed Viper to just surge on ahead in this bot lane, and had he gotten the kill, then On could have just left Viper to his own devices for pretty much the rest of the game, and we would have had a fully unlocked Bard going into the mid game. Now about 40 seconds away from our second dragon.
Class, you know.
Am I bad?
And Raph was like, why did I agree to come cast with this guy again? Need to remember how this all works. Breathe
I signed up for this.
It's true. Breathe is not having the most fun up here. He's down to about 20% HP, and the early Thornmail, the early chunks there with the Soul Furnace, just leaving this Ambessa a little bit dubious. Really needs that Eclipse to start turning things back around. It's often been the way with the Ambessa, especially if you don't get early attention. Sometimes needs that first item before she's genuinely threatening into some of these tanks. Oh no, go on.
I mean, if she didn't get free armor penetration in her ultimate passive, this... Holy moly.
They could dive this, you know. They might think about this. Okay, decided.
Temper Fate's coming up in 6 seconds. Why not? Send it for the boys. Let's get very, very messy.
Maybe we
But
go for
Dragon is up.
instead, yeah.
Oh, I think that's a much better objective for this BLG comp. Shockwave.
That was going to force the flash out of Victor, and with the chunk on down and no teleport, realistically, I think it's going to be hard to contest around this Dragon anymore. Nice little drive-by gank from Shun, and a good ult as well from Knight makes things a little bit dicey. Get the crystallized proc as well. The cannon should claim that last plate. No, not quite. Bit annoying there for Knight. IG do find their way to the river, though. So maybe I spoke a touch soon. Shun went for a reset to get Sundered Sky, which is fair enough. But On might end up face-checking some people he really didn't want to. Vault Break, a magical journey. But there is the cease and desist. But it's a Mako! Oh, the headbutt back. No, you do not.
I do it. Oh, I was just waiting for the Fog of War toggle to show where Mako was, and lo and behold, he is waiting for the magical journey to send him back to where Wei was. But now they can try and look to see if they can contest this even down to support.
Of course they will. It's BLG. Viper's thinking of coming on over. Mako still on the flank angle. They land the Whimper comes sliding into the Boomerang Blade. The Crescent Guard forces Chachi to a horrible spot. They jump onto Ori on the other side, though. But Knight gets to sprint away and does so well. The Command Dissonance doing his work. Viper gets another. The Hextech Storm really isn't all that frightening. The Tempered Fate will force Waiter back towards the mid lane. Mako flashes out, and all the hard work IG did to kill off the Bard means nothing in the grand scheme of things, because they'll still lose the Dragon in 2 members.
BLG recognized, like, hey, there's no cease and desist on this Vi, so their main engage tool has to come from Mako, and they just recognize, hey, Jachi's a little too far to the right on us. There's no flash on this Corki. Just jump on this guy. And once again, it's very similar to what happened to IG in game 1 when they started losing track of the game, is they panic when BLG are just starting to walk up and just fight them. And IG are like, well, guys, how do we engage? What's going on? And then everything just falls apart.
Okay, so we hold a quick glance across the screen, and we can see a couple dragons to BLG, early gold lead. And again, for my money, I think their comp probably scales better into the late game, but of course we'll have a look at this play again because it was very entertaining stuff. And nice positioning from Mako to catch out On's play patterns there. Yeah, he's got a magical journey out. No, he's not.
Boom. But then it's this play right here, Sam, where they tag Jachi with the wind becomes lightning, and because there's no cease and desist, IG are like, they cannot actually turn with Corki because they do not pull the trigger fast enough, despite having the numbers advantage, and they just let BLG be able to set up their own battle lines in their own favor. And you just can't do that against BLG because they are always going to be willing to just press or pull the trigger before you do if you are not confident in being able to find these fights and angles when you are not actively calling out who you're going to be focusing and who you're going to be turning on.
That's the one. Because again, I fear at this point, BLG, with all of this kind of pressure, they've managed to pick up a couple items. The lane priority, these outer turrets aren't going to be long for the world. And at some point, IG need to get Vi, Ambessa, and Alistair all on the same screen jumping on a key target. Maybe this is their moment. Here we go. Looking for a look on end. The on the hunt comes on through. The flash Q does get some damage onto Viper. The vault is broken. Viper doing his best to buy a little bit of time. The headbutt back onto Shun. Mako left a little low, but he can make his will unbreakable. His body is another question entirely. The Temper Fate a little late. 2 members down. But maybe Knight and On can threaten back. The Shockwave on 2. Get back over here. Scorpion on the rift. Chachi flashes away. Got the Gatling gun rolling. But overcomes Bin. On's left low. Wei tries to get the kill. Won't quite be able to do it. The ult from Bin, the unstoppable force, gets him another. Nyaz trying to get across his own gravity field. On does fall. It's a mess. A 3 for 3 that favors, I guess, the Ambessa, who was left alone top lane.
We got a TP though from Knight, so she is able to at least catch the wave and prevent Breathe from being able to get any more gold for herself in that exchange. That was a pretty big drop from Bin to leave Breathe to his own devices for a bit, but it's very much worth to at least continue giving BLG the overall gold advantage. I love that Bin is just recognizing like, hey, oh no.
Knight gets low, very low. There's the Eclipse damage. Knight's got a little bit to work with. The Command Dissonance slow will not be enough, but look in the jungle. Shun and On were there to defend, end up trading onto Mako, who's looking to get involved. They'll get that kill, and the TP out from Breathe.
All right, well, Mbessa might now be online here, and that is a scary proposition for BLG to deal with because, like we said, there's a ton of reliable setup that can set up for this public execution to connect on any of these targets. Now, BLG are going to try to rip this Rift Herald before Wei can get in position.
Breathe is one of our very best and best when she first released, had some incredible quadra kills on the champ. Over we come, trying to make this fight happen through the magical journey nonetheless, so they'll escape it up. Breathe is coming on over, doesn't have that public execution still, so this makes it a bit dicey. On left low though, Drake out step in on top of people's graves. Pin on the other side, but then turnaround comes off for Breathe left low. The Eclipse shooting, not enough. The knocker, flash away, the unbreakable will, but it's not going to be enough to keep Mako alive for long unless he gets through a Hex Gate. But BLG still on the hunt, still looking for more Victor. That's an ironic name, isn't it? Because you look a lot like a loser where I'm standing. 3-for-1 in favor of BLG. Wei and Mako still on the retreat. This top lane turret looks mighty juicy to BLG. 3,000 strikers stacked from Shun. Will nab away the Gromp, and this turret falls after an IG. That was just too far.
So, the magical journey, great from BLG to be able to create a lot of distance. There's no Crescent Guard on Shun, and you think, as IG, okay, surely we can punish this. But Wei has to press his ultimate ability. He doesn't do it on either this Viper or Shun, because there's no real way to follow up on it. I don't know if he's thinking, well, there's no public execution, so it's not worth to pull the trigger here. IG, you cannot be indecisive about what tools you're going to use.
No.
If you're gonna full commit, you gotta full send with this composition. You gotta use everything that you have at your disposal. Because anytime that there is any sense of complacency or any unsureness, BLG are just gonna punish and turn that around.
I mean, I completely agree, right? Because the deal basically is you don't have a neutral game. Your game is all in or nothing. You don't get just to stand there and play it slow. That's what BLG can do. They're the ones with the Sivir, the Orianna, the front line and the Bard to buy space and time. And now we're at soul point for BLG, who look a lot more commanding in this game state. They're not the ones having to deal with the fact that the objectives have been stacked against them. They got the gold lead and the objectives this time around. And sure, Breathe, you will be theoretically scary if you get in. You do scale well on the Umbessa, but do you scale as well as a Sivir Ori comp? I'm not sure. Maybe the Victor can provide a little something later, but oh boy, Wei. This is tricky. Tempered Fate backstep from, but it's still straight into the waiting arms of Viper, and Knight will shockwave and find just the one, but I'm sure Flowers approve of that one, still getting the kill.
And Sam, I would like to direct your attention to the map. The game has officially decided that IG are in dire straits with the objective bounties officially being on display on the turrets. I like to call them pity prizes because that is the game's way of saying you need a little bit of extra help to get back in this game. And you know, 4,000
might be understating it, Rafa. I think they might need quite a lot of it at this point.
Yep. 5,000 gold advantage might not seem like the largest thing in the world, but before 20 minutes, it's pretty devastating. And when you consider how the gold is not even like super concentrated on the Knight, it's a large portion of it, but it's somewhat evenly distributed. That is the part where it gets really, really terrifying for IG when you do not have an individual wall of diff for anyone to leverage.
Yeah, like the Shinzao and the Orianna being ahead is a big deal because that is so much of your brawling core. You've now got the Black Cleaver, you've got 2 items on Knight, you've got a Dark Seal stacking. It's Knight, that will turn into a Medjay. We know what he's like, and I think it is getting increasingly hard to find value. And like, look, eventually Neil will be scary on this Victor, but he's not really been involved in as many kills and has kind of dropped a bit of farm here, so not going to be stacking that Victor passive as much as like that Hex score is looking a little bit behind the times for such an advanced bit of kit. Next Dragon's 3 minutes away, but BLG just taking the opportunity to collapse on bot lane, force Victor off another wave. They've got a Herald, and the gold lead is going to keep ballooning, and I think at this point it's turning into a hot air variety because they are taking flight.
Yep. Tier 2 turret has been felled here in the bot lane.
Inner to inner.
I
How's the
appreciate that
driving
Shun
skills?
will not go. Oh, are we drifting?
Tokyo.
Ooh, make the curve. Ooh.
Someone ask Shun about family.
Shun Toretto on the Rift, y'all. We gotta see if he is rocking either a Pontiac or that Mustang, the classic. Oh my goodness.
Well, we've got ourselves a little while to the next dragon, but IG trying to get into the river nonetheless. Just clear out some of these control wards, buy a little time. We've got Baron up and available. It's a little early on, but I think next fight, if it's significant enough, everyone's got front lines. We can absolutely turn that into Baron after. Maybe jumping a knight here. Rocket belt away. Dodges the Vault Breaker. On needs to get through the magical journey. Does just about the blast cone. Not needed. In we go. Big flashes into an ult. Over the wall. All the while, Knight gets turned into a statue. Courtesy of the Tempered Fate. He flashes out. Way's got to go the wrong way. Flash away from on. Mako gets nothing. And now Breathe is hit with a decimating smash. And Breathe, well, I don't think you're breathing for much longer. His last breath is claimed. 4 members down. And I wonder whether BLG can go, you know what? We're going to look to pick up the Vine. No, they TP'd for that. That's disgusting. Way gets Shockwave into Sombrero variety. And Knight will tip set at as he picks up another kill. We can turn to Baron as everyone, as you may have noted, is dead.
Knight will say, hola, senor Way. Let me tip my sombrero to you, buddy, as the pick onto the jungler of IG means a full ace for BLG here at the 21-minute mark. We are back to the kind of classic expectation of BLG being able to just dominate early on and create these crushing advantages that they have become pretty much synonymous with. And Mako, well, he did find a Scion. Can you actually kill him, though, is the real question. No, I don't think so.
No, the question is very swiftly answered. Is like, yes, if you had about another decade. As of right now, that's not happening. We've got 30 seconds until Hexol. Baron's coming up. We'll have a look at this replay because Knight sees the Vi and just rocket belts away from the punch.
Once again, IG are a bit indecisive on which target they want to pull the trigger on. They had everyone in position, and it just seems like they were not really clear on which target they were going to pull the trigger on. And by the time Wade does send it with the ultimate, his follow-up has already been killed off on the left side of the fight, as now we're back to live.
Oh, Breathe has been isolated. Does manage to lacerate away, gives himself a Drakehound step. The Sundering Slam gives him another. Viper's still over here looking for the Boomerang Blade. Oh my days, the DPS check onto the Corki. Not having fun. The public execution. Spell shoot for a second, but it's not enough. Breathe helps get that kill. Turn around, double pulverize. Makes things dicey for a second, but Knight has blown up the Ambessa. Still, they managed to kill off the Shinzao. Things getting a bit dicey here, but they'll still be able to knock up and knock down the Victor with a decimating smash. And Bin is just a titan in the front line. And for all they lost a couple members, they do not lose the important members in mid lane. And of course, in top, they blast the rest of the fight and can turn back to Hexol at their leisure.
Some frustrated sighs coming out from Nia's player cam, understandably so. That was a very creative look from Mako to try and get a deep flank, decent setup with the pulverized flash. That fight goes way better if you are not down 9,000 gold, where the wall diff is just astronomical.
The wallets, however, are very heavy, and things got just that little bit messy, because you're right, Mako on a very deep flank with the Hex Gate. That's how we got there. Got to keep an eye on our picture-in-pictures. The Dragon's not quite gone down yet, and Viper tries to DPS check and just ends up walking into a nasty cease and desist combo. And you know, if there hadn't been 9k behind, maybe we'll be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
Back to life. Dragon's still up.
Yeah, it really is, unfortunately, just a wall diff at this point, because that was our kind of first time of seeing the Vi and Ambessa finally get to work hand in hand on the same target with their ultimates. Wade looking for a flank with the Hex Gates.
Ooh, gonna get jumped away. The Tempered Fate is Vault Breaker out of. Not bad. The Wind Becomes Lightning still lands, though, and that gives the increased Audacious Charge rate. Viper follows with the flash, and they bring down the jungler. No smite for the Hexol. That is lights out if they weren't already.
All right, Mako. You have a 600 smite from this unsealed spellbook. I believe in you, King. Get in there.
He's going to try it. I don't blame him. He doesn't have a flash, though. He's going to headbutt pulverize onto On. He's going to break his way unbreakable, but much like the Futurama episode, you can crush my body, but you can never crush my spirit. My spirit.
Oh, no.
So unfortunately, the rest of IG has a similar conversation as the Shockwave once again collects another head. 18 stacks on the Medjais. Knight is 12, 1, and 6. This player is just unbelievable. Someone out there has clearly missed a demigod's son. Take him over to Camp Half-Blood or something. He is ridiculous. Everything he touches turns to gold.
Well, What child of deity would that make him? What house would you put him in? Do you think he's like a child of Ares? Do you think he's a child of Athena?
I mean, if it's got, well, he's got the golden left hand. Bin may need to start thinking about running away. He's got a flash and an ult, but he gets body blocked. He likely dies here, but not before potentially taking wave with him. Unfortunately, all of those denting blows are stacking, and Bin flashes away. He's got to solve that. What is going on? He will finally fall. That was a very long-running death. The problem is all the while BLG have been shoving up the rest of the map. Over the wall we go. On takes a magical J into the base. Jachi has to flash on out of it. And the middle lane tier 3 will fall nonetheless. So a prize claimed, sure, in the death of Bim, but it's not going to save your base from breaking. To answer your question about gods, potentially Hades. Got the golden left hand, and all the metals under the earth are attached to Hades. Remember, he's not just the god of death, he's the god of the underworld. So that might be my call. And let's be real, he does a lot of dragging people to the underworld.
Oh, absolutely. He is been quite the man when it comes to making corpses here in a moment. Oh my goodness. I think that was the correct call from Neon to just flash the shockwave there. 18 stacks on the Medjai Soul Sealer. Could have just been like a moment for Knight to be like, I wonder how much damage I do. Let's just check it. And Neon's like, I don't want you to know that either. Because
no way.
I'd rather you continue making those calculations for another time and allow you to guess. But we're at the point of no return virtually in competitive pro play here, Sam, where a team is ahead more than 10,000 gold. You cannot just rely on pure merit. You have to rely on a series of unfortunate throws from the enemy team.
Yeah, but Lemony Snicket doesn't tend to write League of Legends stories, unfortunately, so that might be a tricky one.
I fear.
Looking for the win becomes slightly sped up by the command distance. He's real scary. Does get chunked fairly heavily, though, by the 3-item Ambessa. The inhibitor still likely to fall here. 3.5 minutes till Elder, 5 seconds till Baron. Flank angle from Way, but again, it's largely well scouted off. The inhibitor doesn't fall. Interestingly, don't want to overplay their hand as IG still have a fair number of ways to full send. No idea where the Vi is right now. Shun's going to face check a little here. The Tempered Fate blocks off the Victor, means they're not getting involved anytime soon. And goodbye, Way. You just don't get to play the game anymore. Flash on him from Shun. The Crescent Guard, the Shockwave. Nia goes down. And the damage is absolutely monumental. Breathe does at least publicly execute the Sivir, but the bloodline of the Emperor of Shurima will continue through her vassals nonetheless. Breathe needs to run away. A flash command attack. Distance Breathe is doing his best, but you can Drake count step all you want. But I think you'll need to step off stage left, because it's BLG's turn to take a bow as they can march in through this mid lane and look to end the game.
Very, very nice comeback from BLG in the series, and in this second game, it's back to kind of stock standard, I should say, in how we expect BLG to play. Orianna first pick, big gambit from IG, and letting it be handed over to Knight, and well, he takes that golden left hand and he kind of pimp slaps them back and forth on Summoner's Rift here, and BLG are not actually going to end the game just yet. There's a Baron to play for, there's an Elder Dragon in 2 minutes, but they've done enough damage to the base to make it so that guaranteed on the next winning fight, they can close out the game.
That's the one. I thought with the waves coming on in, they might be able to do it, but the death time is just a little too short. They don't want to take the gamble, and that's fair enough, because again, do that wrong then, you give up Ban, you potentially give up Elder, and suddenly there's a way back in, so playing a little bit more respectfully than I'm used to seeing BLG, I'm not going to lie. But still, the damage in many ways is done. It's now a 5,000 individual gold lead tonight. Shun's not far behind either at 4.5, and now they can turn to the Baron with all of the stacks on the Medjai's in the world, and talking about Knight doing some pimp slapping with that golden left hand. The irony, of course, is the Meet Midas touch is on, who gets to Tempered Fate whoever he likes at this point as well. Way might find Knight here. I don't know whether you win this, son. I've lost my color caster, folks. Bring that play down for me.
Oh, why? Oh, wait. Oh, well, I mean, there really is very little way to be getting back into this game, unfortunately. And he was trying to set up for a deep flank for the Elder Dragon, but BLG just say, let's just end the game right here, right now.
Breed's going to try and full send, but Viper has got the flash key, and unfortunately for Invictus Gaming, they will have nothing left to say in this game. BLG silenced them with an 18-1-10 Orianna, the most broken, most highly prioritized champion on the patch for the last few patches, proves its worth one more time. And BLG crack their necks, roll with the punches in game 1, and bring us to a game 3.
Twin Fang rises in priority, and now Cassiopeia, a champion that used to kind of just be put on the sidelines, has risen to prominence, and we're going to see it here for an epic banger of a game 3.
Strong showing from both our teams there in terms of the chance, and rightly so. I'm looking at IG's comp, and let's be real, if I took nameplates off, they've got the more thematically cohesive comp. Got the split push of the Yorick, Aurora's not bad in the side lane either, a lot of big circles. You can also trap people with the Dark Procession to allow for the big engages with things like the Wukong Lulu behind them. All sounds pretty good to me. On the other side, BLG, we've got a couple nasty combos. Nautilus plus Lee Sin. You can then throw a big Zigzag, and you've got double poke as well, right? With Ziggs and Jason. Potentially some dangerous terrain to try and cross with the Nautilus and the Miasma trying to dissuade you, and the early firepower of the Lee Sin to kick away the Wukong or whatever. I see the thought process there, but I feel like it's a bit more fragile, and I certainly think the skill floor is higher on BLG's comp. It's just that little bit harder to play.
Yeah, the bar of execution is more difficult for BLG's composition than it is for IG, because outside of Nautilus pressing R on someone, your ways to engage fights are very, very finicky, and they're very, very conditional. Now, your ability to counter-engage and to reset the fight is in full supply for BLG, because there's so many tools that either slow down the approach from IG or basically deny them entrance into the backline. And I think that is where BLG really need to prioritize being first onto these objective setups, get vision control into those choke points, and be able to use things like the Miasma, like the minefield from Viper's Ziggs, to really make it difficult for IG to get there in the first place.
Yeah, if you get control of vision, suddenly you're dealing with bombs out of vision, shot blast out of vision. Good little Nautilus Ziggs combo where you do the hook into the satchel tray, but there's the heal burned on as they did go looking for that little chunk, and everyone kind of walks away, but the summoner advantage there for IG in the early stages. But Ninth running with a Noxious Blast is going to be real scary. Overcomes Shun though, and I think I just caught way at the top of my screen as well on his blue buff. They've overshot for this one. Flash with a staggering blow. Sonic Wave is wide because the hook back means it was pulled out of the Sonic Wave. Oh, that's unfortunate anti-synergy.
Oh, well, you can tell that it's been a hot minute since BLG have played Lee Sin with the squad, as Shun now finds himself encountering Wei in the jungle.
So it's got a decent chunk there. Of course, all the while worth noting the Scuttle Crab went the way of Wei. Does manage to back away and potentially get that top side Scuttle Crab. I appreciate the look in, and in fairness, for all that the Sonic Wave didn't land, look at the summoners blown. Jachi, no sums. Mako down the heel from earlier, pretty scary. Thundering blow away from Bin should mean he should be all right here, not too much more to see. Worth noting as well, Bin has gone towards a Storm Raider's search.
Yeah, Jace has really had only 2 keystones other than Storm Raider Surge that he is kind of liked in this new patch, where it's Grasp for the little bit of sustain, or Conquer if you're trying to go for like extended trades and all-out brawls. But Storm Raider Surge, if you do manage a nasty Shock Blast from afar, you will get the movement speed to reposition for additional follow-up, or even try to hunt them down to go into hammer form. So
I half wonder whether he might be a DFT abuser in some way. Like, I know the AoE kind of sucks, but you know, with your ability to throw down those ranged autos, I can sort of see you being able to stack that fairly well.
Yeah, it's definitely one that would need a little bit more research, but people have just kind of settled into, well, this used to be pretty good on Jace before, so why not just go back to what kind of worked.
And in fairness, his ability to do chunks is pretty well known, right? You can get EQ, transform into your hammer form, jump in, Thundering Blow someone away. And if you've not done 20-odd% of someone's health bar at that point, then I don't know what to tell you. Well, you're playing the Jace wrong.
Or you might just be very far behind the gold curve, which is not a good position to be in either. Hex Flash potential, look from On.
Ooh, can't quite find it. Good backstep from Nia, but again, the problem is it kept him in range of the Twin Fangs while he was stepping back in, and Knight just got 3-4 of those off, and the DFT proc alongside that poison proves to be pretty problematic. On gets to roam with Shun. And again, the Wukong, not that frightening early on until the level 6 available. The Lee Sin certainly more scary, looking instead towards the spot lane. Hook on Tomeko, puts down the ward, he just gets annihilated. Wei gets to go Nimbus striking in, but unfortunately this Cloud might be getting burst apart. We'll throw down a Warrior Trickster, Sonic Wave lands. Does Shun want to follow? The mind is telling the body no this time around.
And Shun will obey the mind and not let his body decide on what he wants to do in that particular moment there. Pickaxe early from Shun as well gives him a huge spike of power. Oh my goodness, wait, double longsword? Okay, no. This could still be Eclipse. Now, I have seen some Lee Sins in solo queue run Voltaic Cyclosword.
Yeah, same.
On Lee Sin, it is a much more volatile item start because you don't get nearly as much sustain and I guess combat effectiveness with the shielding from Eclipse, but the damage output is pretty freaking nice, and its current percent HP into missing percent HP damage on Shun's Q, or at least not real missing percentage HP damage,
but it still does
like
the extent of the accelerated damage, right? The lower HP bar, the HP someone is, the more the reactivation on the Q does. So yeah, it makes some sense. And I could sort of see that being potentially valuable this game, especially if you are looking to snowball through the jungle, that Voltaic Cyclosword Q. Because again, the thing with Voltaic Cyclosword is it activates on your abilities, which kind of is kind of nasty. Ben might also just be kind of in trouble to keep reusing the phrase. May need to flash. Thundering Blow speeds up with the hammer form. Does he need to flash? Yes, he does. Would have been a little too much at risk there, so the flash is indeed required.
Yeah, Shun was in the area, so Ben was trying to see if he could maybe bait Wei into something for Shun there. He was just about to hit level 6 off of that Gromp, but doesn't happen. Oh my goodness, that was close.
That was a close run thing. It was. Shout out to Freg, by the way, for the 30 stream streak. Thank you very much for that. A compliment required for TFC as well. I didn't get a chance to do that earlier. TFC, a pleasure having you in the community. I see you active on Reddit all the time as well. Really cool to see just how engaged you are in the LPL community. And one of these days, I believe the Shy will return purely for your enjoyment. He's not left you. He'll come back. I promise. I promise.
Fair enough. We have our first dragon of the game that spawned about a couple of minutes ago. We have Grub spawning actually in 15 seconds, but BLG are going to take this time where pushes both in mid and bot to be able to secure the first dragon of the game. And Lee Sin, very effective at being able to burn this down. As you mentioned before, you do have execute damage on your resonating strike. Grubs have now spawned, and BLG should have enough time to be able to reset waves if they want to look for both objectives here in the early game.
Will likely be the plan. Knight can head over towards this blue buff, and the invades will continue until morale improves. And Victor's Gaming, yet to wave the white flag, but I think they are just going to say, look, this blue buff is going to be a bit too far for us to contest right yet, and we'll give that one up again. Shun very much at a point of power here. Don't want to give up too much more gold to this early snowball on the Lee Sin. And BLG this time around, this is a lot of early lane domination. I'm just seeing blue across the board here, and 500 to 600 gold leads in a lot of lanes.
Yep, BLG definitely back to basics here with a smash lane potential win game scenario, as IG are starting to fall behind in every single lane across the board. Even the one lane that's supposed to be a quote-unquote counter pick with this Yorick, he's not at the point yet where he can start bullying around Ben's Jace quite yet. He really does need that, not only the tier 2 boots which he picked up, but also that Trinity Force spike so that he can have the sustain as well as the damage to back it up. Wei just secures one grub.
Does indeed. Got a quick Huya ad trying to interrupt the action. How dare they? Breathe these to Flash and just about dodges the initial dredge line. The problem is he's still going to get hit by the depth charge, and now Shun gets to keep running at him. Finally summons the Maiden, but a little too little, a little too late. The Eclipse is in, and that means a lot of extra damage. Viper throws down a big old chunk, trying to get in. Right, but over comes Answers. Absolutely not. Get away from my AD carry. Well, I suppose AP carry in this scenario. Wei will decide to make a cyclone head curve, but the Tornado needs to start flashing where they do finally bring down the Nautilus. The problem is the Twin Fangs are flying, and Wei's got no more room to go. No anti-venom to be found. A flash forward from the Snake, and this Medusa is telling everyone to stone. Mako needs to run, but no, the Sonic Wave dodged away from the bouncing bomb, still lands, and poor little Lulu. I think it's only a matter of time before dear Mako is put in the depth the second time this game.
Orochimaru has hit Summoner's Rift, y'all, as I don't even know if you could turn this game around with someone like Naruto on the other side of the Rift here for IG side, because, oh boy, Knight already picked up 3 kills in the first 10 minutes of the game, finished the Rod of Ages very early on as well, has the tier stacking for himself, so yeah, this is a very, very scary state of the game for IG.
I appreciate how they did the kick into depth charge combos. I actually extend the depth charge a little bit longer. If I do this, it buys me time for my Q. We get the cooldown. Nicely done. And then Viper with a monster 3-bat satchel and still gets to walk away.
My goodness. Dude, On has been so proactive in this game 3 with the Nautilus. Obviously, him going down, not the ideal scenario, but that's kind of like an 07 in the chat, and he's back at it again!
Hooks the wall, but Mako, unfortunately, Lulu, you can wild growth all you want, but this is looking like a logging crew. Goodbye. They will bring down the Lulu in very short order. Didn't quite see who picked that one up. Looks like it was the Lee Sin. Nasty stuff. He's very much snowballing, is dear Shun, now 3-0, and continuing to find a lot of early priority. BLG now 3,500 gold up, and a lot of those item spikes look pretty dire for the side of Invictus Gaming to overcome.
Yeah, I'm not sure how IG can claw back this large of a gold deficit from the 12-minute mark here.
Cross BLG to overextend the side lane with a Jace. Jump on Knight potentially is the other angle. Petrifying Gaze does buy a little bit of time, but Wei holds on just long enough, doesn't step too far forwards, and they get the kill. There's a hook though, and they're going to turn this one on real fast. Vengeance for their mid lane, and Knight is avenged in very short order, and Chivalric Honor is restored.
Really nice sidestep from Wei to be able to turn away and not look at Knight directly in the face when the Petrifying Gaze was thrown down. Unfortunately, Knight and Shun were, or Shun and On were not very far from the play and able to continue at least building up the snowball for the Lee Sin, even though the shutdown bounty was picked up onto Knight's head. And unfortunately, it's not the Voltaic Cyclosword. It is something more consistent with the Eclipse, now building towards the Sunder Sky. But this Lee Sin already well ahead of the curve of the game. We got Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. BLG can continue Drake stacking. Ben, you might need to
just be a little wary
out of this top lane.
I mean, he doesn't have, obviously, we're seeing the Brutalize. That's likely going to be Voltaic for Ben. Again, it has become the primary first type of the Jace because you apply it so easily with your Shock Blast.
Yeah.
But it does mean you don't get the Ghost Blade so regularly, and that can sometimes mean it's very possible with the changes to things like Phase Rush to Storm Raiders to get yourself in trouble. Out comes the Maiden of the Mists. In the mid lane, a little bit of trading happening as well. Ben didn't have the flash, got to walk away. Doesn't have TP yet, so this might get a little bit spicy, especially with Wei coming on down. Ben needs to keep backing away. Should be safe enough, but that might cost them that top turret, actually, depending on where things are at. We're looking to contest over this blue buff. Ben, it's a very dark and dangerous jungle. You may not want this. Did he steal that? No, he didn't, but he does just manage to get a little bit of a look in there. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Appreciate all the follows today. We are edging towards that 11,000 follower count, which is really cool. So thank you for those of you who are helping us get there. About 100 or so off from that, just over. So please do follow if you haven't already. It will make a massive difference. I'll do it in-game this time rather than afterwards, so people are paying a little more attention. Race for first turret, very happily won by the side with the grubs and the zigs. And so Viper picks that weapon.
Ooh, yeah. Voltaic Cyclosword, accelerated shock blast damage, already making its presence known on the Chachi's health bar there. Intensified in the bot side jungle.
It's not. It's over. That's not a fight. That's an execution, I think. They just deleted the Monkey King, who doesn't look like he's got a crown anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately for him.
No,
wow,
that
connects onto
the
right. Wow!
Oh, there's the wild growth. But again, you're getting bounced around, and the bunny is supposed to hop, but not that way. She broke her ankles.
The bunny witch girl got bounced on, I fear. And for BLG, they are running the rift once again in classic Billy Gaming fashion. Invictus Gaming might try and pounce on tonight. Unfortunately, he's got a support Nautilus in his back pocket here just for extra protection.
Gonna potentially be able to step over that miasma now, and that allows the the untouchable shadow to come on force, getting the right version of that E there. There's a better right gaze though!
Oh.
Twin Fang sink in, Wei tries to get something TP behind. On still running! The satchel buys a bit more time. He finally falls, but it'll still come at the cost of Wei. The Sonic Wave lands, and this time the body's saying, yeah, no, I got this one. Ignore the mind. Keep running forwards. The Conqueror stack, the rev buff is on. A cripple, a tempest. The shot blast is dodged back from. But the Undertaker, unfortunately, has dug his own grave. There's nowhere else to run. And 3 members fall in trade for Just On.
You know, no matter how many times people might meme BLG for bad late game, quote unquote, what if you just never get to the late game if you are BLG? Because they are steamrolling the first 15 minutes of the game. 7,500 gold lead. You can see how Jachi is trying to wait and see when the Petrifying Gaze will come out with the slight steps back and forth, but unfortunately he guesses wrong on when Knight decides to throw out the ultimate, clips him, way overextends to at least get 1 kill back, and well, we all know how the story unfolds from this point on.
Poor old Breathe just gets run down, the red buff slow, there's a cripple, and Breathe just doesn't have a lot more to say about it. Even burns the flash, but has to backstep the shot blast, so he still gets in range, and the goal is now extended to 8.2 thousand gold. Of course, it is BLG, still throwable. They've thrown from this lead just earlier this split. In fact, keep your eyes on it. Of course, while BLG's objective setups can sometimes be a bit dubious, look away from on. Their ability to collapse on a side lane is just second to none. Who needs a team fight when you can just blow people up by their tier 2s? Often the case. Shun soloing out the Herald. Minute and a half till Dragon, but would be sole point for BLG. You've just picked up everything on the Rift right now. Viper as well with the Ziggs and the Ludens is just clearing up waves kind of casually. Not a lot that gets to be done there by IG. In the picture-in-picture, would you look at that? Been sieging onto a tier 2.
Yep. And you can tell that IG recognize how desperate their state of the game has become with how much overgrouping that they are starting to have, or overloading members. They are constantly sending 4 to mid lane or to a side lane, just making sure that their carries are either supported in trying to look for some quick picks here, or just trying to force some plays that can at least bring back some leverage in this game. Because within seconds, we have gone from a 4,000 gold advantage to a 6,000 gold advantage to now a 9,000 gold advantage. And now BLG, once again, just like in game 2, the gold lead has been distributed pretty evenly. The wealth is shared among all 5 individuals. So even if you shut down one member, it's not going to be a way back into the game for IG.
Can they step away there? And I agree, it's just not simple, because you look at where the gold is, it's absolutely everywhere. The Muramana transformations now happen. Shun looking for a flank angle, lands the Q, would get polymorph going over there, so I think the reactivation is unlikely at this point, but you can see, looking in the jungle, 7 ways just dead. Knight's found him, on was around. It's a solo kill for Knight. Had to back away from the Nautilus and finds the waiting, loving embrace of the Medusa. The Gorgon is certainly no stranger to damage. Breathe tries to get on top of Bin, but he gets to speed himself away. Nia is coming on down, has TP'd in, goes across the veil, and Bin may well likely be dying. Flashes the weirding, the rocket belt just wide. He'll have another form change shortly. Between worlds we go to the skies. The thundering blow back does get slowed. The acceleration gate, the auto's only just about enough, but the Mega Inferno bomb comes crashing on down. Maybe they can jump onto Nia here as well, and this bunny rabbit again is getting thrown in a stew.
You know, I've never had rabbit stew before, Sam, but I bet it tastes delicious. And BLG are definitely eating good on Summoner's Rift here in Game 3. As Viper, oh my gosh, Rocket Belt second on 6.
How? I mean, to be fair, at this point, how do you get on top of the 6? He's going to be miles away, and there's a look at the replay. Knight literally just runs at the Wukong. That is the fastest snake you have ever seen in your life.
Yeah. I don't think I can argue with that. I'm trying to think and pull through my references.
Eh? No? Not working for you?
I'm not sure if, like, where's the snake?
Where's the
alliteration in there?
You see? You're not. He's not.
Yep.
All right. Okay. We need to work on that one. Okay. We did have Speedy Snake as the counterpoint to Solid Snake. Trying to sneak up on the enemy, but the clack of his E key is too loud and it's alerting the enemy team. Has got a Medjais now as well, and the Swift Marches. It is in fact a very speedy Snake.
Oh yeah, because Cassiopeia can finally build boots again.
What a wonderful hat.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Tier 3 Swifty boots. That is...
Yeah,
that is terrifying.
It gives you adaptive force reminder, guys. And Knight's already gotten to the Medjai, so the move speed on this Cassiopeia will be a lot faster than I think people over the years watching Cassiopeia are going to be used to seeing. She is real speed, and she still gets more move speed as her passive rolls up as well. It all gets a bit alarming. Look how fast she's moving. It's a little bit of a look in. The Mega Inferno Bomb there. Shunward hopping forward. Uses the clone as a potential ability to get on him, but the Maiden is the one that falls, and Yorick mourns the death of his fake wife. They're in a bit of a toxic relationship anyway. It's a divorce that needed to happen. Nia goes across the veil.
Hey man, at least Yorick has someone still, unlike Viego. Viego's constantly mourning.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's just like, Gwen's like, yeah, I don't count. Sorry, please leave me alone. I genuinely think they should have made Isolde evil. Like, the fact that she's against Viego, like she needed to be in on it. She needed to be in on it. I think the harrowing event wasn't that great. Whereas actually the Ruined King game was superb. Go play the Ruined King game. Great bit of narrative.
Always.
And wonderful character interactions. That's what I wanted out of my harrowing event. And the Ruination was a little... Ruination, that's the correct one. Harrowing was actually good. The Ruination event was quite poor. It didn't justify why people got ruined and chose to fall to Viego's wiles. Well, they just need to make Viego's power to corrupt people more too potent.
You wanted to feel the ruining, and in fact, your overall experience and expectations were ruined for the lack of
Indeed, yeah, which
Ruination.
I suppose is a meta way of doing it. Shout out to Riot Games for that one, you know? More astute than I give them the credit for.
Any opinion shared by Sam Hopgood, I do not endorse or share from this point forward.
I am a big League of Legends fan. That just wasn't one for me, and I'm a big narrative nerd, so, you know, I've had my issues with how it's been done in League for a while. Arcane did it superbly, but we've got to talk about perhaps violence happening on the Rift. The Wild Growth angle forces Shot to flash up, but the Mega Inferno Bomb leaves Way looking a little worse for it. Chachi as well lost a third of his HP bar. The Shot Blast catches Way, who loses a little bit more of his HP bar. Now Knight gets to walk on forwards. Then Miasma's there. Flash for the hook, but doesn't land onto anyone particularly valuable. Chachi has to flash away from the bouncing bomb. You can still look for a little bit more. Rocket Belt from Viper looking for more damage. And IG don't lose anyone, just their positioning around this river, which is a little unfortunate because, again, they've got to be aware of the fact that Infernal Dragon's spawning in a minute and a half, and they just lost their summoners on Jachi.
Yeah, this Yunara is feeling very terrified of all the threats that she has to navigate against BLG. As we said before, anytime that they are able to get to an objective first and set up vision control, it is just damn near impossible to try and contest. And the one time that IG looked like they had the jump on Shun, well, this is a Lee Sin. He is very slippery and very mobile, and all it takes is a flash and a kick, hop, skip, and a jump to disengage from danger.
Way does not go towards that wave, otherwise he might have found out that the natural predator of the Monkey King is in fact a snake lady. Doesn't happen that time around and does back away. Wisely so, as the Cassiopeia was indeed lurking in wait. 50 seconds till Dragon. I think we're going to see some setup, but we asked BLG to be in the river first. You guess where they're at.
They are here in the Dragon River, 40 seconds ahead of schedule, as one might say, on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, I think I still say schedule, actually. But yeah, schedule would be... It's a very particular accent. You have to kind of start speaking like you're from down in Windsor, you know? Into the skies. And yes, I need to back away. This one quite. Need to release that one. Yeah, I found that one. Yards and yards of damage. Yes, we can look for a bouncing grenade.
Would you throw a
he has been knighted. Knight OBE. His Majesty's Snake Lady finds the kill there onto the Monkey King. Renegade royalty is taken low.
Yeah, Wei just got the experience of what happened. Oh my god! So, gamers, dude, gamers.
Yeah,
hang on. We talked about Voltaic Cyclosword being very strong on AD casters and assassin characters and Jace. Well, that is an example of how, for some reason, Voltaic Cyclosword will apply the current percent health damage proc onto an ability like Accelerated Shock Blast.
Ugh.
Oh my god, Knight, leave him alone.
No. He's got Shirelias, by the way.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
He is literally the fastest snake in the world. Cosmic Drive?
This is Black Mamba mentality. Shout out to Kobe.
Job's not done.
Oh, the job's
Here we go. Look how fast he is! What is this snake? I'm trying to sneak past the wards, but the clap of my tail is too loud and it keeps alerting Invictus Gaming. Mako, don't walk into that bush. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That is not a box that you want to face check there. Okay, they slow him down with the Nymaera W, but how do we put this, Sam? IG are shaking in their boots. And I feel like there's a giant snake in each one of them.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know where Woody is right now, but they could use a Buzz Lightyear to come and get them to infinity and beyond, because that feels like their chances of winning this one slipping away from them, to be sure. Jachi's gone Bloodthirst to third, stopping away from a Last Whisper, because he just needs to sustain. It's so hard to stay alive against all this poke and the threat of stepping forward. They're onto the Baron, and again, the Cassiopeia is able to burn this around real quick. Wade's already lost half his HP bar. Bin helps chunk him out. They need to keep going forwards. Viper has thrown down a minefield. Mako needs to flash away from the Mega Inferno bomb. They're jumping onto Viper. They get the double knock up there with the Cyclone. Make that 3, but the Satchel charge to disengage. They do blow up Bin, who perhaps goes a little far. The problem is Baron has already been secured by BLG, and now Knight is really fast. He just gets to keep running, eat a few more Twin Fangs. Can I tell you about our Lord and Savior Knight in the mid lane? No, close the door. Doesn't really matter. Lulu goes down, and BLG will blast open the base, and this game is all but done.
Holy moly! If we have Shun Toretto over in BLG, then Knight has got to be like Shaw or Cassio Shaw, however you want to call it. This guy is so incredibly fast. He popped the nitrous on the Shrelia. Shun is diving into the Nexus.
Do you want to know how they drive in the new studio? Knight finds a monster series 7, 1, and 5. The Nexus is Baron, just maybe. They've got a touch far. 4v3 in the enemy base, onto Little Low. Knight also doing his best to trade him out. He's got a Seraph shield. He's still so down quick. Missed the Petrifying Gaze, finally goes to breathe. We'll give him the last right, but that snake may have died. Bin, though, resets, and the damage is done regardless. They need to try and keep this dude alive. Hook onto the inhibitor there from On. I saw that will tank up the turret shop, and then this poor Lulu. Oh my god! Voltaic Cyclosword to the skies after. Nexus is bare, and Billy Gaming will make sure this is a 2-1 series. Game 1 ignominy is swiftly forgotten after an absolute masterclass of a Game 3. Or with their food for a second or two longer, but it will lead to little else. Billy Gaming take no prisoners and eviscerate this.
Bin trying to pad his KDA a little bit on the Jace, make sure that his Jace stats going into potentially the next international event look really